Hello, good evening, and welcome to Clear Waters, where the waters are clear. Some people call me stinky waters, murky waters, old waters, but at the end, it's clear waters. Tonight, we have an interesting topic that is a follow-up from yesterday. I was not satisfied with anybody's explanation about God being all-knowing and at the same time us having free will. So tonight I am not moving on. Continue to ask the same exact question. How is it possible for God to be all-knowing, omniscient, immutable, and at the same time for us to have free will? To me, it doesn't make sense. This is a stuck point. If I ever want to believe in the God of the Bible, I don't think it's possible. It doesn't make sense that we have free will again and God being all-knowing. So I'm starting to move very slowly and cautiously to the point to start thinking that this could be proof that God doesn't exist. Do you see me smiling? Do you see me laughing? No. No. Like the guy says. No. I think this is problematic for anybody that believes that the God of the Bible exists, is real. No, it should be a huge obstacle. Unless, of course, you are just after the emotional benefits from believing in the God, then of course you will not care about God being all-knowing and us having free will, which doesn't make sense. I do appreciate people yesterday on the live stream from yesterday. People trying to explain it away, but those explanations, at least to me, didn't make sense. And I'm not trying, I keep repeating the same thing. I'm not trying to be a pain in the butt. You know, like I want to reject God. I want to reject the truth. No, let's be serious. At least one live stream. You know, I'm not trying to reject anything. I'm not gonna sell my consciousness to the God of the Bible just because I'm gonna get a good feeling out of it. I don't see that, as being honest. I suspect that God is, if God of the Bible is real, I think that this God is not an idiot. And he's able to tell who's after him because of the prices and the emotional benefits. Most people are after God, supposedly because of what they feel from believing in the God, not after the God. So it makes sense that the God of the Bible, if is real, he'll be no fool. And he will know why people are after him. I don't know. The whole thing to me is very complicated. I think I'm going to be showing, if there's enough time, I'm going to be showing 3 short videos to expand on this problematic about God. I'm coming more and more to the conclusion that most believers believe in the God of the Bible because of the emotional part, emotional aspect, not because the God exists or is real. I don't know. Very problematic. So real quick, I'm gonna check on my audio. Yeah, hopefully the microphone was on. Sometimes I forget to turn on the microphone. Yes, so everything looks good. Let me get my scene for these videos ready. because I'm gonna be most likely showing some videos about this huge problem of believing in gods or humanity. So let me get this thing ready. That's one of the videos. Excuse me. I'm gonna show 3 videos in this live stream. I think the volume is a little bit low. Okay, so that's number 2 and number 3. Here you go. So we have our 3 videos ready, because probably you have never seen these videos or heard about these videos. I'm just getting this ready. More right here it is. All right, let's fix this a little bit. I think that's good. So let's see these 3 videos. One is very old, it's black and white. I know probably nobody's on the live stream right now, but I gotta do these live streams anyways because I put shorts from these videos and I don't want to make people that get in early, I don't want to make you wait. So if you are in right after I start the live stream, let's go jump on it right away. Not to make you wait just because you're being early on the live stream, you know? I think that's fair. And besides that, I'm keeping these live streams at the most 3 hours. I said it before, I'm not gonna do any more 5-6 hours of live streams. At the most 3 hours. I don't know, probably shut it down earlier. I'm getting on some other projects and I'm doing those at nighttime, so. All right, let's watch the first video. Let's turn the volume down for the music. And let's watch this first video. Let's listen to what this lady has to say.
Son, I am sending you to Earth to be beaten, humiliated, and sacrificed in a brutal murder. So
There you go. All right, so let me fix the vertical. It looks kind of funny. There you go, a little bit more. That's better. And let me fix the horizontal because it looks horrible. I think that's better. A little bit better. Let me move myself out of the way. There you go. So let's listen to what this lady has to say.
Why are you so sure that there is no God?
An atheist doesn't say that at all, and this is one of the things that I'm upset about. What we say is this, simply and fundamentally. We don't know, nobody knows, if there is any kind of super entity, any place that we can even conceive of. We have no idea in relationship to this. But we do have a record of human history. We do have the attributes of science. And from continuing appraisal and evaluation of those, it appears as if there is no life after death, no efficacy in prayer, and no top banana someplace up in the sky.
Turn it around.
Okay, that's a little bit tough and direct. Lady is not messing around. Let's go with a video number 2. All right, let's watch this.
What do you mean by God?
I'll tell you exactly. A creator who...
Sure.
Are you an atheist?
What do you mean by atheist?
One who believes that there is no God.
What do you mean by God?
I'll tell you exactly. A creator who, with intelligence, who is aware of his creation.
This is a scientific question. Was the universe created, or was it always here?
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to answer this is through science. We don't have the answer yet.
So where do you think the evidence leads? You look at a baby born and you say, Mother Nature is amazing, or you know there might be a God.
I've had 5, and I think it's great, and I never had for a moment the thought God intervened to make this baby. Let me ask you a question about that, by the way. If God is omnipotent and omniscient,
yes,
why is it necessary for God to be meddling in the universe after he made it? Why didn't he make it right in the first place so it would go in the direction he wanted?
Because there would be no need for us then. If the world were perfect, then we could not exist because we could have no freedom of choice to do bad. We couldn't choose anything imperfect.
This is a very egocentric point of view. That the point of the world is so that we will do good or bad.
That's right.
Now, let me tell you a fact.
Without humanity, I don't think there's...
I'm going to do like other people do, like...
a point to the universe.
Let me now argue about that. Okay. A lot of people like that idea, right? It's satisfying.
No.
The world is so that we will do good or bad.
That's right.
Now, let me tell you a fact.
Without humanity, I don't think there's a point to the universe.
Let me now argue about that. Okay. A lot of people like that idea, right? It's satisfying.
No,
wait. Let me make a remark. It's satisfying. We're at the center. We're important. We're the reason the universe was made. Feels good, right? Now, let's think of where we are. We live on a tiny world in a solar system which has about 70 or 80 big worlds going around the sun, which is an obscure star in an obscure spiral arm of a humdrum galaxy that contains 400 billion stars, and this Milky Way galaxy is one of about 100 billion galaxies. Now imagine that number of places, and in this obscure galaxy, in that tiny star, that little planet, those guys think they're the center of the universe. It's hilarious.
I have to ask...
Oh, wow. So I think that probably we have stumbled with proof that God doesn't exist, which I'm not, nothing to celebrate. Let's watch the third video.
Religious leader has never answered questions like, okay, man has free will, right? What did that have to do with Katrina? If God is omnipotent, could he have prevented the monsoon? So I lost my faith right after my bar mitzvah. I started asking rabbis questions because they encouraged me to ask questions. Then I would ask questions of, I interviewed, except for the Pope, every major religious leader. Had the Russian Orthodox Church, had the Mormon Church, Catholic bishops, James Pike, the Episcopal bishop, and there's one that they never have an answer, and the same answer is, we don't question the ways of the Lord, or the Lord has a plan. Do you believe that some mystical figure up there has a plan for you, and the plan might be to blow you away in a hurricane? I think it's all religion is based on death. If you didn't die, there'd be no religion. Wow. So what it does is encourage the masses. Karl Marx called it the opiate of the masses, which I believe it is. I don't think my wife is nuts. I don't think my father-in-law is nuts. I think they all firmly believe, but I think it's superstition based on this desire to want to know you're going somewhere. It makes you feel good. Yeah. And you can't be proven wrong.
He said the key words. It makes you feel good. Apparently, I'm not the only one talking about feelings. Let me see. I think I have one more short video, if I'm not mistaken.
What are you going to do about all those books, the Bible?
Yes.
Oh, come on. This is a bunch of junk. I think that it should be thrown in a trash can, and the world would be better off without it. Let's talk about J.C. for a minute. We call him J.C. He says, I came not to bring peace but the sword. You want that? He said, I came to turn brother against brother and father against son. You want that? He says, yea, even unless you hate yourself, You cannot come unto me.
I don't
Promises
quite get it. You
before that.
grew up in a home where there was religion, right? And you studied
Presbyterian.
and you studied the Bible, right?
Oh, yes, in college and in graduate school.
So what caused you to go in the other direction?
Read the Bible. It's a bunch of junk. It's sadomasochistic. It's brutal.
Oh, you
it's
must
ugly,
make people
it's
so
full
angry
of
when
hatred.
you say that, though, huh?
But it's so true. If we
Do you
could
think
have,
when you die it's all over? I mean,
you don't think that you keep on going, do you?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh yes.
What happens when you erase one of these videotapes?
Gone.
Yeah, that's the same way with you, kid. Everything is stored in your brain, and when your brain is gone, you're gone.
Oh, I hate to think that.
I know. That's why it's necessary to have a decent, kind, love-filled, human, outreaching life now.
What are you going to do about all?
Man, that's the first time ever I listened to this lady. Oh, man. I laugh, but this is not a laughing matter. You know, if I was a believer and I will be emotionally dependent on believing that there's a God waiting for me when I die, and that He's loving, and suddenly just to contemplate the possibility that that is not the case, that God doesn't exist, I think the most accurate word, I'll be absolutely terrified. That probably could explain why believers don't want, most believers, not all of them, don't want to engage in these types of conversations. Because it's emotionally problematic. Talking about the possibility that God is not real, Javier, please don't even go there, my friend. I don't have anything else in my life. Besides that, I have a personal experience with God, so nobody's going to convince me that God is not real. I have to admit something. This is a very extremely sensitive subject. It seems to me we're not talking about a God. This conversation is only about you and me being alone in this universe. That is absolutely scary. That could keep awake anybody at night. Man, what do you mean? Why are you even asking or contemplating the possibility that God doesn't exist, that there's nothing, and then we just go into obscurity? So what are you saying, Clear Waters? We die and that's it? But then life would have no meaning. I'm not so sure about that. I think the main problem we have right now, one of the problematics that we have, it seems to me, people avoiding having these conversations. Someone wrote yesterday on one of the chats that I was probably working for God, or God was using me. And I started joking that probably I work for the real God and not the God of the Bible, which is a pagan God, a man-made God. It's a possibility that I'm working for the real God because I'm trying to realign humanity with something else and not the crybaby, violent, crazy, easily offended God from the Bible, which is, for me, doesn't sound not even 1% like a God. It's mainly the only thing that people hang on to for dear life because there's nothing else. The only other thing that can be is to select another God, go with Allah or Buddha or something else, or get into one of those entities from Voodoo or, you know, Santeria or something like that. So people are like, you know what? I don't know. I'll stick with the God of the Bible because it's the one that makes sense for me. It's the one that, you know, gives me more meaning into my life. Without the God, I think I will be in terrible situation emotionally. I actually probably will start feeling more anxious. And I don't like that. It doesn't feel good. I don't know. I need that guidance. I need that, you can even call it doctrine. I need it in my life. I need an invisible, powerful entity to tell me how to behave, because then I feel connected. And making emphasis with the word feel connected to that entity. But I think that sincerely and honestly, you're running, you're playing with fire in my point of view, because you can be yourself and telling other people that there's a God where there's none, when there could be a real God, and you are misleading people apart from yourself. So myself, I have not come to the conclusion that there is a God or that there's not a God. Probably that is where the difference is, that you have come to the conclusion that you hold the truth when you cannot even prove it to not one person. That seems to me that you are the one playing with fire. I know that some believers like to say, well, you'll find out when the judgment comes. I can tell you, you'll find out when you could end up with the wrong God, probably in a corner, somewhere dark, because you decided to close your mind or the possibilities that there's something bigger. You believe what someone else told you what God is. That is dangerous, man. That is, I don't know. In my point of view, you're playing with fire. Not me for asking questions, for trying to double check that this is a real God, which the God of the Bible, I triple check and 4 times check. No, this is no God. This is some ridiculous made up pagan God that someone came up with because they couldn't understand something bigger, and they started putting labels and saw that people were reacting to these labels, and they're like, you know what, let's keep expanding on this crap that people like it for some reason. I think that there's a possibility that most believers are keeping us stuck in time, are keeping us, or attempting to keep us lacking knowledge. Probably that explains why the God of the Bible didn't want no one else to have access to knowledge. He wants to be the only one that is a God. He wants people to find out the real truth. This is a problem, at least for me. I think the moment you define life that you came from God when you don't know that, and that you're gonna end up with God when you don't know that, it seems to me that that is the definition of absolute ignorance. Because you came to a conclusion based on what someone else told you. I would not be proud telling other people, this is my God, this is the real God. How do you know? Because someone else told me through a book, through thousands of years. I believe the secondhand testimonies. I believe them. I think you're playing with fire. But I thank all the people besides myself that insist in asking questions and trying to honestly understand and try to prove to themselves that this is the real God and not a pagan God, made up God that is being used to control people, to fool people, to keep people stupid for the longest time as, longest time possible. No. I think if you are an atheist, agnostic, a doubter, you're doubting, I thank you for your honesty. Thank you. For all those people that have those channels, they are making money, debates, rejecting the idea of God. If you're not doing it because honestly, you're doing it because you're trying to understand, okay, whatever, make your business. But for those of you that are brave enough to put up channels and start asking questions about God, man, thank you. Thank you. Someone has to push back on these crazy beliefs. So I think, in my point of view, that I have probably stumbled with probably one way to prove that the God of the Bible doesn't exist. And that is the question that I've been posting for the last streams about how is it possible for God to be all-knowing, immutable, omniscient, whatever, and at the same time create and us to have free will. It doesn't make sense at all. There's something that is a contradictory, and I, thanks to the people that tried to explain it away yesterday, no, it doesn't make sense to me still. And I think for a lot of people, that is a blockage. This is a blockage to believe, at least in the God of the Bible. I think that we are being presented with a fake God. I'm coming to that conclusion myself. I don't know about you. Oh, let's take a look a little bit to the chats. Maybe some people have questions. Hopefully you saw those videos that I presented at the beginning. If you didn't, you can go back on the time of the live stream and watch the videos. I presented 4 short videos of some smart people talking about this problematic of believing in gods. And for anybody that wants to call in and have a conversation, a respectful conversation about this problematic of believing in gods and this obstacle that God is all-knowing and us having free will, I think, at least myself, I'm coming to the possible conclusion that this is going to be a way to prove that this God is not real, doesn't exist. So let's read some of these messages. The Discord link is at the bottom of the screen and also is pinned to the chats. Mr. Dragon Karaxi, hello. Phantom X. Dragon Karaxi, she killed him. You're talking about the lady on the video. She was straightforward and clear. Wendy Kirkland, welcome. And thank you for the jewels. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Wendy. God is real. Dragon Karaxi, in mind of the believer. Wendy is asking, Clearwaters, are you saying God is not real? I'm starting to come to that conclusion, in a more clear, direct way by presenting this problematic of, for me, having a huge contradiction that the God is all-knowing, not bound by time, is omnipresent, immutable, and then he gets involved on all facets of life for human beings. He gets involved, he judges, he creates. And of course, the problem of free will, for me, when the God is all-knowing, it contradicts for people to have free will, doesn't make sense. And I know that some believers like to say, well, Javier, you're trying to understand the mind of God with your human mind. It's not going to be possible. Then I tell you, okay, so probably you have also the wrong information about God's love, because you're trying to understand God's love and you're not going to be able to try to understand it with your human mind. So probably you have the wrong information about God's love. So it doesn't put you in a good place when you say those things. Crypto Lee, welcome to the live stream. When the Kirkland writes Clearwater, so true, you're playing with fire. You said it, not me, just saying. Yeah, I'm saying that I think believers are playing with fire. I think a believer could be selling their soul probably to the devil, maybe. The devil is in the book. The real God is out there, not in the book. Probably that book was inspired by the devil, being that he likes to be on earth and mess with humans' minds and feelings. Crypto Lee writes, what's going on? Peeps, hand on. Let triple check 1 + 1 = 2. Just the math book says so. Phantomac respond, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 because of any book. It equals 2 because of the axiomatic definition of addition. When I look up that word axiomatic, and I already forgot the meaning of it, I'm gonna look it up again. And thank you, Phantom, for expanding my vocabulary. Axiomatic is an adjective used to describe a statement or principle that is regarded as self-evidently true, obvious, or universally accepted without requiring formal proof. Wow, interesting. All right, Critoli writes, where did you read that? Sean, welcome to the live stream. Oops, sorry, hitting on the microphone. Tell me how you can prove God doesn't exist, then Clearwaters. It seems to me that there's probably the way to prove that the God of the Bible is not real is by asking the question, how is it possible for God to be all-knowing, omnipresent, omniscient, immutable, and at the same time for us to have free will? I don't see it as possible. It's a humongous contradiction. And not only that, how can God create? He's immutable, timeless. It seems to me that it crashes with each other. It doesn't make sense. So if anybody is going to tell me, well, Javier, you're trying to understand the mind of God with your human mind, then I will tell you the same thing. You don't understand God. Your explanation is your explanation. This is probably not the real God. It's just your explanation. So you understand God's love in the wrong way. But let's not fool ourselves. I think that probably that explains why nobody can see God, nobody can hear God, nobody can touch God, probably because the guy doesn't exist. I'm not saying that there's no God. I'm coming to that conclusion from the God of the Bible. So, yeah, I think that probably we can take this everywhere until, I don't know, probably has the explanation for this. How is it possible for God to be all-knowing and have all these properties, and at the same time for us to have free will? Like, if God doesn't know what we're going to do, what we're going to choose. Cryptolia dictionary, or did you learn that from a professor? Sean, hello, dear host. Hello, Sean. Welcome to the live stream. Phantom X, I read it, but that's not the point. The axioms don't come from a book. That's just the medium they were communicated to me by. Cryptolia, for anybody on the vertical live stream, I have no idea why there's more people on the horizontal live stream when that was not the case before. So in case you find yourself alone on the vertical stream, just to let you know, there's another stream that is horizontal and you can join. There's more people on the horizontal having more chat conversations and asking questions. Cryptolia, I guess at Phantom X, much love. Even You don't exist, Phantom. Phantom responds, you don't understand Cartesian doubt, but that's a straw man. Mr. Brent A, welcome to the live stream. Sean writes, people believe in God before the Bible was even written. That makes sense, you know, Sean. Probably people don't understand things like lightning, thunder, and they will, you know, start coming up with gods because of things that they didn't understand. And of course, little by little, people that start to understand these natural things that happen probably use those things with people that do not understand those, you know, like lightning and thunder, and use people that didn't have that knowledge. I think that same thing is happening in the year 2026. You know, also, Sean, with this that happened in Venezuela with the earthquake and some of the videos that I have seen with, you know, with children, horrible stories. And today, man, it's absolutely amazing to me that anybody could think that there's a possibility that the God of the Bible is real. I think it's, I don't know, to me it's like brutal. Wow. People saying that they have a personal relationship with God and God is good with them when their children suffering to unimaginable levels. Stories that, I mean, I have to move on, you know, don't watch it, don't listen to it because it's gonna break me. And people saying, yes, my Lord loves me and he takes care of me. And what about these children? Oh, it's like, man, throwing up. Ugh. Oh, the tough one. Confederate MP. People spoke out loud before they learned to write as children. Okay. Confederate MP. Everyone believes to max capacity. What and how much is the measure? I don't understand what does that have to do with the topic. Sean writes 1 + 1 = 2 because it's true. I don't want to get into that conversation. Confederate MP, the human brain is a belief machine. I think you're trying to explain a more complicated process with something very simple as to pretend that you understand it, but it doesn't make sense. Crypto Lee writes, be careful, Waters. You're getting that from a book. I don't know what part I'm getting from a book. You got me there. Confederate MP and truth equals dogma. Sean writes, are you saying God should help the people in Venezuela? What are you doing to help them clear waters? I kindly ask my friend. I don't think that the God of the Bible should be helping the people from Venezuela. I don't see how is it possible for a character named God in a book to jump out of the book and start helping people from Venezuela. How is that even possible? I don't even know if there's a God. I extremely doubt that the God of the Bible is real when he's all-knowing and we are supposed to have free will. It doesn't make sense. And this is probably, I think this question should be taken to these big debates, you know, and just stay in that question, because that could be proof that God of the Bible doesn't exist. I think also, Sean, there's probably, I don't know how many people praying for people in Venezuela, praying for children instead of, going there and help. Seems to me. I think that the least thing I have done for people in Venezuela is to bring to people awareness about what happened in Venezuela, because I find out that a lot of people don't even know what happened in Venezuela or don't care. Diva, don't play. I watched that video from Frank to Wrecked. Man, Diva, you are an enigma to me, my friend. You are like, I don't know. I have to tap my forehead when you send me some of these videos. So, Diva, don't play right, Javier. I'm glad you think you have proven God doesn't exist. The one from the Bible. I still don't know if there's a God out there, but the God of the Bible, I really doubt it, especially when there's this contradiction, huge contradiction that doesn't make sense. So Diva, continue writing. So now you can stop talking about him from now on, right? You prove it. What's next to talk about? Diva, I will have to move on from talking about these topics. I'll probably just stop talking about it. I said from previous live streams that I was doing this temporarily, as a project. And if other projects will take more of my time, I will move on to other projects. And I'm seeing that most likely that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, this time in my life, I have to admit that I'm more focused on financial benefits than emotional benefits. So even if when I like doing these live streams, I have to put my head where it should be. But in the meantime, I'll continue doing what comes to my head as to talking about. I continue thinking that one of the biggest problems that we have in this world is the belief in God, because it's keeping us lacking information, it's keeping us stuck in time. And I don't see how the world is going to be a better place in the future when people continue believing in these gods, when some religions are going to start expanding and then try to force everybody to believe in their religion. Confederate MP, I pray for Venezuela. If I don't play, Javier, do you know about fantasy football? Yes, isn't that fantasy football from the casino? I'm not sure. I think, yes, I've heard it before, but I don't remember what it is. I remember fantasy football from the casino. Confederate MP, since the US starting doing illegal stuff to them. The earthquake was terrible, it looks. I don't think the correct word is terrible, Confederate MP. This is something that is sick. It's absolutely horrible. Horrible. Not only the earthquake, but the stories after the earthquake of what's happening in those areas. Super ER18, Clearwaters, after speaking with you, it seems you have a heart issue. You were hurt by the church and you judge God because of it. I pray you repent. You just don't want God, and God won't force you in heaven. Super ER18, thank you for being, respectful and considerate. You're the number, 1,000 people that tells me the same thing. This is something that you learn to say, or something that for me is like a religious cliche. I think probably you can come up with a better argument. Don't worry about me. You know, just because I'm trying to bring awareness with the problematic of believing in gods. I think it would be better, super, if you try to answer the question about how is it possible for God to be all-knowing and us to have free will. I don't see it as a possibility. I think it's a humongous contradiction, and it's possible the way to prove that the God of the Bible is not real. I would like to hear someone explaining this to me, you know, in the chat or calling in and being respectful. Javier, I'm going to explain it to you how this works. But just be ready, because I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. I like to understand things. Diva, don't play, Javier. Most people have believed God exists since Adam and Eve was walking around. Tell me at what period of time throughout history when more people are atheists and not atheists. When? You know, Diva, don't play. I think that we have to gather all the information from the God, the history, and of course, take the information from the believers and try to put things together, and we start to create a picture that this God from the Bible most likely is made up. Especially when the God is supposed to be all-knowing, I think it crashes directly with the idea that we have free will. I don't see how is that even possible. I know you try together with Aaron to explain it to me, but honestly, after I closed the live stream and thought about it and went to bed thinking about it, I'm like, man, that doesn't make sense. And there were some people yesterday on the live stream that also tried to explain it with human examples, which I think is a horrible way to explain something about God. And besides that, Diva, I can notice, and people have told you before the same thing, you have come to a conclusion and you're trying to align things to that conclusion. That explains why you're not really interested in getting or engaging into conversations. You just want to prove that the conclusion that you came to is accurate, which I think is a terrible way to try to prove anything to anybody, because it doesn't sound very honest. You know, like Dragon Karaxi comments, Diva trying to make sense. You know, people see it. Diva continue writing, Javier, you will never see atheism get bigger than theism. Absolutely never. God is real and he's here to stay. Diva, don't play. I tell you this respectfully, I think that's a horrible thing to say. Hopefully that is not the case. And hopefully we have more and more people asking questions and trying to honestly understand things about God or no God, trying to understand things about ourselves, trying to understand where we come from, where we're going to when we die, you know. But to me, it sounds like you're perfectly okay keeping people stuck in time and people believing some doctrine. And besides that, Diva, don't play. I would not celebrate that much, because it seems to me that even where you live right now is going to be Sharia law, Islam in the near future. So I would not be very much celebrating your God. I think it's obviously that Islam, believers in this religion, have figured it out that you can take countries not by fighting, but by just walking in. Sean Clearwaters, let's say when your time's up and you die and stand before God, what would you say to him? Can you say sorry when it's too late? No, I think that I will be asking God, what for? And God will be like, what for what? What for? You don't need anything. You don't need love from anybody. You don't need nobody's attention. What for? What this whole plan was for? Is this something wrong with you? Do you have problems at home, in God's home? Were you feeling very lonely? What's this whole mess? Story, crazy story, novella, soap opera for? I suspect, can you turn around, God? Can I see if you have a tail? Because I'm starting to doubt, or I always doubt that you're God. You seems to me very unstable. What? You're gonna send me to hell? Oh, sorry. All right. Do what you're gonna do. You're the Lord of the universe. Probably I'll be asking, there a Starbucks in hell? I don't know if coffee is gonna be a good idea in hell. Yeah, I don't think, Sean, I'll be asking for forgiveness. No, because that will confirm that the God is violent. He's crazy, cuckoo in the head. I'm not willing to sell my consciousness, for a good feeling. God, are you going to make me feel good? Yes. If I give you my attention and my love, are you going to make me feel good? Yes. Okay, I give you my attention and my love. Can I get the feel good? Oh, man, I feel the Lord. No. I'm not a child. I'm not easily manipulated emotionally. Dragon Caraxi, better start giving evidence than just making bold claims. Super Yard 18, your emotional argument is inconsistent. You're logically immature. All right. So, does that prove that the God of the Bible is real? No? All right. I'll take your criticism, even though I think you're absolutely incorrect and probably you're being affected emotionally from someone talking to you honestly. I don't participate in your salvation game. I don't like your salvation game. I don't believe what you believe. And thankfully, most people in this world don't believe what you believe. So logically, saying that I'm logically immature doesn't say absolutely nothing, but probably makes you feel good. The Big Nick, he'll see atheism get bigger the further he falls to outer darkness. I don't know. I think if you want to define people wanting to understand things and ask questions, you want to call that atheism, call it whatever you want. I think it's way better for people to think, to have critical thinking. If they're going to jump to emotionality about something, try to make it from a critical point, of understanding, and not just because the God makes me feel good. He's my Lord and Savior, and he's going to be waiting for me. I keep asking the question, how is it possible for God to be all-knowing and at the same time for us to have free will? It doesn't make sense. How about we stop criticizing and attacking the host and defend your God or your belief in the God? Hey, Sean, have a good night. Thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. The Big Nick, Javier is not trying to understand. If he was, he would have understood. It's been explained so many times. So I'm rejecting the truth. Sure. Oh, I could get in the same game. You are rejecting the truth, Big Nick. Diva Don't Play, you are rejecting the overwhelming evidence that the God of the Bible doesn't exist. So maybe you are upset at honesty, and you don't like honesty, you don't like transparency. You like to be involved with this God, even when you know that the truth is that the God of the Bible is made up. So probably you're hurting by some people that were being honest with you because you don't like honesty. We can play this game all night. With God, I don't think there's free will. So you're taking advantage of the free will because God is not real. And then you are rejecting life as it is without a God. Maybe because you are upset with yourself. Maybe because you're upset with honest people. You don't like honest people. You don't like people being transparent, asking questions. You want people to believe what you believe. And that's why you reject the truth. Man, I like this game. We can play it. Dragon Caraxi, you want Diva to call and present some evidence? No. He's not gonna present any evidence. He's gonna present what he thinks is evidence. Cryptolee writes, don't worry, fellas. Most atheists at last days look towards God. It's a fact, as hospital chaplains. I think when there's nothing else and people are in pain and there's nothing else, yeah. Just in case the God is real, man. Yeah. Pray for me. And besides that, Cryptolee, you know, I even pray myself. You know, I have conversations with whatever is outside there in case it's listening. It's just not the God of the Bible. I don't like to be talking to violent gods. But of course, we know it's not real. The God of the Bible. The Big Nick, yeah, but look at the damage they do along the way. I think you're referring to Christianity, believers. I think that probably Christianity worked at one time is not working anymore. I don't think that also Islam is working anymore. Probably it worked at one time. In the year 2026, it doesn't work anymore. I think we're better off to ask questions, have real understanding. Thank you, Wendy Kirkland. Thank you so much for the gift. Wendy Kirkland. Phantom X is pointing to Diva. There's no evidence that points exclusively to any non-physical conclusion. Ethereal wizards have just as much evidence as Christianity. Dragon Karaxic, not everyone is afraid of death. And the other day I met a lady in her 60s, late 60s, in a friend's birthday party. You know, normal party. And she was telling me the first time I talked to this lady, and she was like, I'm not afraid of dying. I'm like, you're not even a little bit? She's like, nope. Nothing. I'm like, do you think it's gonna feel fearful when you're close to death? She's like, no, I don't see it as something, you know, to be afraid of. I'm like, wow. Okay. That's nice. The Big Nick, Christians are not afraid of death. I think that's a generality, the Big Nick. I think that most Christians are afraid of death, and that's how they end up believing in a God. Diva, don't play at Dragon Caraxid. I have given all the evidence live on here for many months. There's no more evidence. You heard it all. That's what I tell you, Dragon. You're gonna get what Diva thinks is evidence. Cryptoly, all people will have their epiphany with God. Or believers, we have the epiphany of finding no God. Betting on red or betting on black. 50-50. The Big Nick, but meanwhile, this place is hell. You know, the Big Nick, I have to agree with you, and that hell comes from ignorance. That is human hell right now. Ignorance. It's hurting people, it's killing people, it's making people suffer. Ignorance is putting lots of people in unfortunate situations, in dangerous situations. And people are thinking about their God and their salvation. I think it seems to me that when you start believing in the God of the Bible, you get very selfish. You're not aware of this selfishness, but you get very selfish. But you reject the truth. Oh, man. So the Big Nick writes, because this confidentially ignorant atheists continue to drain the rest of us. Wow, the Big Nick, that's very holy of you to talk like that. It seems to me that you don't have the Holy Spirit in you. If you had the Holy Spirit in you, you would not talk like this. It seems to me that you have some hateful emotions inside of you. So probably you have a demon. Probably I can pray for you right now in the name of Jesus Christ. And we get that demon out of you right now of hatefulness. Because I don't think you're going to get to heaven like this. Don't be hateful, my friend. That's not very holy. The Big Nick, convincing children they can be whatever they want to be. And you want to convince children to be like someone else that they don't know, like Jesus. Be more like Jesus. Don't be like yourself, okay? Because you're a sinner, children. You're a dirty sinner. Be more like Jesus, like someone else that you have never met. That is the definition of a horrible doctrine. Keep Christianity and your crazy beliefs away from children. Diva, don't play a Phantom X. Look into all the evidence that ChatGPT gave to you. Wow, Diva, you're that dependent on ChatGPT? Whoa. Dragon Karaxi, ChatGPT says it's all joke. We had to force him to pick one. I think Diva hasn't seen the videos that people put out on YouTube about fooling ChatGPT in the most crazy ways. The other day, I think it was ChatGPT or I think it was Gemini was telling me that Charlie Kirk was alive. I'm like, what? What in the world? Charlie Kirk is alive? Diva, don't play. Even ChatGPT would even choose to become a true born-again Christian. Diva, you're trolling, man. You're not being serious. I can get ChatGPT to say some crazy things that are not true. Cryptoly writes, we're not to force anything, only stay aware and ready, especially in these days. Mr. Blue Phoenix ID, why do you think God has to be kind? I don't know who you're asking this question. I don't think that the character in the book named God can be anything or do anything. Dragon Karaxic, some of us don't have urge to pick religion. The Big Nick writes, Javier is totally dishonest. Oh, you're gonna continue with the attacks, man. I told you that's not very holy. You're making a bad example of a Christian. Javier is totally dishonest. Every theist has already dismantled the stupid feel-good argument, and yet he persists in his folly. But look at yourself, getting emotional. So I think you're a good example of what I'm talking about. This is not about a God. This is about your feelings. I talk bad about God, your feelings get hurt because you are emotionally attached to the idea that there's a God and that God is loving. But it's just you, your feelings, and a book. There's no God. And that reality, that truth, make you uncomfortable. You don't like it. So let me attack Javier and try to make him feel bad to see if he changes his ways. He stopped being honest because he makes me uncomfortable. He hurts my feelings. The Big Nick are critically aware and ready to do what? Jesus used a whip, man. He hates cowards. You know, if you believe in the God of the Bible, you're gonna turn like the Big Nick. Someone that apparently hates himself. I don't know, hates people. That's why I tell you, the Big Nick, try to stay away from this hostile God, violent God. Apparently, you're learning about his hostilities and his violence. Don't like it. Stay away from violent gods. The Big Nick, people are telling you to call in and present evidence that the God of the Bible is real, and also to explain to me how is it possible for God to be all-knowing and for us to have free will. Scripturally, he was the Son of God. That was his purpose, not mine. All right. I like that answer. It's an honest answer. You're not Jesus. If I don't play Javier, I love and cherish honesty. As long as the honesty align with your belief that the God of the Bible is real and loving. Any other honesty or truth that doesn't align with that belief, you will not accept it. And I have to go down to the more recent messages. Ursay 98, welcome to the live stream. He's constantly on the mind of the unbeliever. I don't know, probably some message up there. But I have to move down because I'm starting to miss messages. I'm reading messages like 10 minutes old, so I have to go down. So Phantom X is asking someone, what did he sound like? It came in a vision. Oh, Rainbow Shangri-La, welcome to the live stream and thank you for the present. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So Phantom X is asking, what did he sound like? It came in a vision. I was there watching Satan make his plans on how to fake fulfilling the prophecies. The Big Nick at Phantom X. So what laws do we have to follow then? Since Jesus reaffirmed the Big Ten, but you're saying he was sent by Satan, not God. So that seems confusing. Country folks records. Why do atheists seem to believe that people are good because of religion? You know, there's good and bad, or people that believe in the God. Blue Phoenix ID, good and evil are what makes this world interesting. Without either of them, this world would be boring. Well, that's a respected opinion. Country folks records. Atheists say things like, oh, you need a God to be a good person. Yeah, for some people that applies. That is absolutely accurate in my point of view. Some people. Rainbow Shangri-La, I have been here just dealing with tummy problems, but thank you for the live stream, Javier. I'm enjoying the chat. Thank you, Rainbow Shangri-La, for being here, and I hope hopefully you feel better. Yes. Take something for your tummy. Verse 98. Could what be proof God doesn't exist? The fact that a unbeliever cannot get by one day without talking about him, that just makes me believe more that he's very much alive. That's respected. So, Country Folks Records says that I was actually an atheist before myself, so I understand. So you were an atheist and now you're a believer? What happened to you? What broke? Blue Phoenix ID, God doesn't have to be good. He's the creator of everything. He is the source of everything, including good and evil. Blue Phoenix ID, there are some contradictions between the God and what he's supposed to be doing. Like, for example, to create. How is it possible for him to create when he's immutable? All-knowing, omnipresent. It's a humongous contradiction. So all these things that God helps people and influence people, he gives free will, he loves, he's jealous. It seems to me that it's all made up. Rainbow Shangri-La, I saw on Facebook today that Starship Nothing Gonna Stop Us Now. One best song of the 80s decade. I really like that song, and I like the beginning. Nice. And Sarah, I like it too. Blue Phoenix ID, how do you know morals if there is no crime in this world? What? Anybody on the vertical stream, it says my YouTube that there's 2 people on the vertical stream. You can ask me questions. I don't bite too hard. You can ask me questions. You can push back on what I'm saying. If you're a believer in the God of the Bible, I see that as a problem, because everything seems to be a contradiction. There's also a link at the bottom of the screen that says Discord. If you put that link or click on that link, it's gonna send you to my Discord and we can have a voice conversation. I like to respect people and have conversations instead of having debates, you know. If the God of the Bible is real, we should not be debating about it. It should be quite clear. We're talking about the God, you know, the most powerful being in the universe. It should be absolutely obvious. Country Folks Records. I like to reverse what atheists say. I don't know what you mean by that. Dragon Karaxic, can we get some of those believers to call? Yeah, if they're gonna start preaching, I don't know. But if they're gonna try to explain how is it possible for God to be immutable, all-knowing, timeless, and also be able to create, to give free will to his creation, how is that even possible? Diba don't play. Javier, could you play that Frank Turek 1 minute clip I sent you an hour ago and then discuss it? The main discussion right now is that most likely we can use the contradictions about God to be able to prove that the God of the Bible is not real. But
if Satan fell from heaven and a third of the angels fell with him, why did God not just lock him up right then? Why is he waiting? Why does he get dominion over this world?
We could just as easily ask, why doesn't he lock us all up right now? In fact, let me ask you guys a question. If God were to stop evil at midnight tonight, would you still be alive at 12:01? No, I wouldn't be. None of us would be. God allows evil knowing he can redeem it. If God didn't allow us free will, which gives us the ability to do evil, but also the ability to love, if God doesn't allow free will, then we don't have a moral universe. And God can't redeem anything that's gone wrong. He didn't want to create robots. That's a completely different kind of being than a free will creature who can choose to love or disobey. So God gives us the ability to love, but also disobey, and he knows he can redeem it. He knows he can buy it back. He knows he can rescue the situation for people that want to be rescued. For those that don't want to be rescued, they don't have to be rescued. God will separate himself from them, and that's what hell is. It's separation from God. So God gives us the ability to do what we want to do, and he also comes into this universe, which he did 1991 years ago this week.
Who created
the sacrifice so we can be reconciled to him? Because if he's infinitely just, and he is, he's got to punish sin. And he doesn't want to punish us. So what does he do? He punishes himself in our place. I mean, think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone believes in justice. And the only thing you're going to get in...
Oh my good Lord. I have to stop it. How much BS? Sorry, Diva. I know you sent me this, but how much BS can you pack in a 2-minute video? I think I'm more stupid right now after hearing this guy for the second time today. The guy that makes a living talking about God and his income is dependent on you believing that the God that he's talking about is real, he's going to convince you and explain to you how God works and what God thinks and how he operates. Oh man, that gives me a headache, man. God, you know, he wants to love you, so he takes himself apart from you so you can have the choice to come to him, because he's not gonna force you, and he wants to give you the freedom to be tortured, but no, you know that the best option for you is to come to him, so he throttles down his powers in order to allow you to let you to... Let me put my glasses down. I think that front to wreck He's like, man, I'm gonna stop selling cars. He was a cars salesman, and he's like, I'm gonna sell God. There's more money in this in selling God. I'm gonna come up with the most ridiculous, made up stuff and present it like it is real, and we're gonna put some music in the background so it sounds like, you know, like authority and sounds like convincing, and it's gonna play with people's feelings in order so the information bypasses their critical thinking. I think this should whatever this guy is talking about should be presented in schools at, you know, the dangers of life of dishonest people. This is one of the problems that we have in the world, presenting a problem and trying to normalize it. Why in the world would anybody pay this guy to come and talk to the youth, to talk about some invisible God that is merciful, some God that is all knowing, that is immutable, that is not bound by time? This doesn't make not 1% sense. The only question I will ask Frank Turek, you know, if I'm there with him, I will ask, Mr. Frank, I have a question for you. How much money did you make last month talking about God? That's the only thing I want to know. I don't want to know anything else. How is the God business doing? Can you give me some tips so I can make more money, you know, probably switching the channel to God's Clears Water? Hard for me to believe it. Incredible. Why would anybody listen to this guy? I'm sorry, Diva. I know you mean good, but I gotta be honest with myself. Oh, Mr. Old Boy. Hello. Hey, Clear Waters. Thanks for stopping that clip. I wasn't here for the presentation. Are you saying the free will problem might be proof God of the Bible doesn't exist? Yes. This is like the third, if I'm not mistaken, live stream. I talk about these contradictions and problematic, and people are coming with supposed solutions to this problem. And to me, I'm not rejecting those explanations. They don't make sense. Some people say, yes, you're right. You cannot take a different choice from what God is already knows the results of your choice, but he knows that there are different possibilities. Doesn't make sense. So I think that for me, I'm coming to the conclusion that this part about God being all-knowing and also us having free will doesn't make sense, which is for me is an obstacle. It's a contradiction, and I haven't heard a convincing, clarifying statement or argument that clarifies this contradiction. Sorry for being repetitive. So yes. So when I say I'm starting to come to the conclusion that this could be one of the ways to prove that the God of the Bible is not real, yes, I think if I continue asking the same question on the live stream, and we have like months asking questions and believers are on the live stream, and instead of trying to explain it, they start attacking, you know, me and trying to insult me, that tells me that we are into something. We are into something. It's a humongous contradiction, oh boy. And not only that, you know, that God intercedes or interferes or protects people and do special favors. This is an immutable God. It doesn't change. How is that even possible? Some people say that he throttles back his powers. He forgets a little bit so he can do certain things. He gets jealous. What? No. So I think one of the problems that some atheists, agnostics, and people that talk about these problems about God. I think the problem is that they continue and just brush it off and continue with other things. No, we're sticking with this one. I'm still waiting for an explanation that makes sense from someone. I appreciate people trying to explain it, but the explanations don't make sense to me. Diva writes, Javier, you really didn't try to listen objectively. I see if it makes logical sense, which is your biggest problem. Diva, I've been listening to Front to Rec for years, my friend. I know Front to Rec for years. Front to Rec has been talking about God for many years, you know. So this is nothing new for me. This guy sells God and salvation. I don't know. It's my humble opinion. You should not be listening to these people. No. These people, in my view, there are not honest people. And I think the worst part is that I think that they could be doing it on purpose. They know and they don't care. You listen to Front to Rec talk, and you can tell that this guy is up to no good, in my humble opinion. Phantom X, whoa, Diva, deal 125. Dial 125 psychic damage to clear waters. It was super effective. That was Phantom X. Dragon Karaxi, I'm gonna sell story instead of cars. Cryptoly, but Waters, you're making money of him too. Don't hate. No, Cryptoly, you're mistaken. I'm here to make money first. And I always say it openly and transparently. And also, I'm trying to offer something of value. Let's not confuse things, okay? I like sincerity, honesty, and transparency. I'm not an honest person, but I try to do my best. But these guys, these people, they are running God businesses. Phantom X, this channel isn't monetized, not enough subs. I am not monetized, and I'm running a race right now because at least one of my other projects is in its way of making me money. So, like I said before, if that business starts making money, I'm out of here. Or probably not gonna do live streams every night, you know, maybe once in a while, or maybe do 1 hour live streams. Mr. Nobody 33.6, what is the question? How is it possible for God to be all-knowing and for us to have free will? How is it that God is immutable and he's able to create? Oh boy, right. Believers make a big deal about the free will give us, but is free will even mentioned in the Bible? It's implied and explained throughout that God orchestrated everything. The present, the past, and the future. Oh boy, continue writing. Does God really care that we have agency? It's all supposed to be a test that he has essentially rigged. So he's testing us. He's all-knowing, and he wants to see the result of that test, okay? He wants to see it because he doesn't know the result. I laugh because, man, sometimes I try to contain it, but this is some laughable stuff in my point of view. Diva, don't play. Atheist, please have pity on me. I'm just obviously really stupid. Help me. No, Diva, don't play. No, don't say that. I think you're doing what pretty much every human being is trying to do. Is trying to live a good life, trying to feel good about things that we don't feel good about. We're trying to move away from pain and move towards pleasure. You're doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, that everybody on the live stream is doing. No different. You're still a human being. Diva, right. Why do I have to become an official atheist? How do I join this belief? Diva, don't play. Your questions are not honest. You know that. People know that. I don't think you're thinking that people are gonna be stupid, that you're asking these supposed honest questions. You're telling yourself the answers by asking these questions. You don't become an atheist. You just try to understand things. You don't understand them because you cannot explain it to anybody. That's why you resort to preaching and tell people what you believe. I don't think you're being able to convince not one single person to believe in what you believe. So I think if you will engage in more open, honest conversations, probably you will gain credibility. But you have come to a conclusion and people can see miles away what you're trying to do. You're trying to align things to your beliefs. If I don't play right, I might be too stupid to become an atheist. Help me out. I'm obviously a dummy Christian. Diba, don't play. I think you're not being sincere about asking these questions. You're just being, you're trolling. But I think probably you can join other people like myself, like Phantom, like Oh Boy, or other people that have questions. We haven't come to a conclusion that there's no God. I'm coming to a very close conclusion by some of these questions that the God of the Bible is not real. Nobody 33. Imagine your father or mother knowing what you did before you told them. Imagine your father or mother knowing what you did before you told them. You thought you did something unique or something in secret, but they knew. Now imagine God knowing your moves. Not religious, just a theory. I don't understand nobody. Thank you so much for attempting to explain it. But your example doesn't explain it to me. I don't understand it. And also, I don't understand why you're trying to use an example comparing the most powerful being in the universe with someone's dad and mom. I think it's a horrible way to compare. But you can try it. But that example that you gave, I don't make the connection. What are you trying to say with that? Oh boy, yeah, super creepy and cosmically boring. What a wacky reality when you put it like that. Nobody. Like. Yeah, nobody try in a different way, my friend. Thank you so much for trying to explain it. I'm open to listening to explanations. I'm asking questions. I haven't jumped to a conclusion yet. Diva, don't play. Javier, can I just hold on to following Jesus Christ until you can someday tell me what I'm supposed to truly believe in? Man, Diva, don't play. Absolutely yes, my friend. Yes. Yes, because I don't have anything else that is going to offer you a better, good feel state than what you believe. That is okay to hold these beliefs. I think, to me, the problem comes when you're trying to present your belief to other people as the truth. This is okay for this to be your truth and present it as your truth. And at the same time, you can have some questions about some things. I don't think the God of the Bible is going to get upset because you're trying to honestly understand God. I don't think it's accurate to say that you know everything about God. I'm pretty sure that as a believer, there are things that you don't understand about God. And again, I don't think it's going to get upset at you for asking questions about God. There are people like us, and you're correct about this. We reject accepting a good feeling from God because that could affect our judgment. And then we're going to feel that we're accepting God because some emotional benefits. And some people like myself, and probably, I don't know, like Phantom X, Old Boy, Dragon Caraxi, and other people, you know, they're not willing to accept and believe in a God because of emotional reasons. Phantom X writes, the question isn't just the knowledge by itself, is whether there was the possibility to do what God knew I wouldn't do. That's a contradiction, ergo libertarian free will doesn't exist. And Phantom X continues, punishment based on compatibilist free will is unjust. Furthermore, God is the first cause, so ultimately, he caused all of it. Man, that's why I like Phantom X, man. What I explain, like 5 minutes explaining, he explains it in 2 or 3 sentences and very accurately. Thank you so much, Phantom X, for putting it in a very professional way. It's very extremely understandable what you're writing right there. Nobody 33 writes, I used Dad and Mom to make it understandable in comparison to a larger picture of a creator of humans knowing what they will do, even though they are choosing out of free will. The thing is, nobody, is that it seems to me that you're implying that God only has knowledge about something, and that is not the case. God is everything. I don't think that God is separated from things. So God has knowledge, God created, God is part of, God is seeing the past, God is seeing your present, God is seeing your future before he created you, which that doesn't make sense either because God is not bound by time. Diva writes, Javier, I don't want what makes me feel good. I want the belief that is true in reality. But will you someday tell me what exactly the truth is in reality, not just what makes me feel good? It seems to me, Diva, that if you still want to use the word truth right now in time, the only truth I think there is that everything is changing and moving, and also that there are many things that we don't understand. If you want to, ask me what is my truth, that's my truth. That I'm ignorant about a lot of things, about myself and life. Nobody 33 is asking, if God is everything, is he evil? So if I say nobody that God is not evil, so I'm implying that there's things in this life that God is not. Are you trying to offend God? Are you trying to imply that there are things that are created that were not created by God? Is there another creator that created evil, that he was not God? I think that whichever way you want to approach it, you're going to come up with a contradiction somehow. Because this idea of the God of the Bible doesn't make sense in whichever way you want to approach it. And I'm not just rejecting. So let's say that I answered your question. If God is everything, is he evil? So if he's not evil, how does he know what evil is in order to create it, in order for us to have the ability to choose to do evil. Or we can do things without the knowledge and comprehension and creation of God. Who's fighting? Some people getting really heated debate on the horizontal stream. No need to offend people. Just present your arguments, your opinions, your views. That is respected and appreciated. Some heated debates on that horizontal stream. Diva, don't play Phantom X. You just over here chilling. I gotta go charge my phone. Be back soon. You gotta get a new phone, Diva. I use a wireless charger and I don't worry ever about charging my phone. It's a stand-up charger. Actually, that's my camera right now. So, nobody, thank you for attempting to explain it. As you can see, and you're starting to notice, if you really analyze it, you start asking like, wait a second. Yeah, so he's all-knowing, so he knows the results of my choices. How is it possible? How is it possible for me to choose something else that God doesn't know already? Is that even possible? Well, he only has the knowledge. Of course not. Only having the knowledge, someone else created, and he only has the knowledge of it? No, that would imply that you're talking about a passive God that only watches and has knowledge. Some people say, no, Javier, you don't understand. That's the mind of God. He just will things. So, what? I'm gonna will this glass into my mouth. Okay, I'm gonna will it. I'm gonna will it into my mouth. How about I just take it and put it in my mouth and take the action? Diva, don't play, Javier. I got a new phone in May. Oh, okay. So you're coming here not fully charged. All right. Wow, who's getting easily offended down there? I'm heated debates. Well, I'm not gonna read some of these messages. You guys are having a heated discussion down there. I'm insulting. I'm not gonna read some of these messages, man. No. Not reading. So, you know, you can get into a heated debate. Try not to call other people names. I don't think it's necessary. You know, trying to offend people. I think when you start offending people, it's because you're run out of arguments. And now you're trying to get emotional. So, we're still presenting this question. This could be the proof that the God of the Bible doesn't exist or is real. Because I'm still waiting to hear some convincing explanation that clarifies this contradiction. God is immutable, he cannot change, but suddenly he gets jealous. He gave us free will, like if he doesn't know the future already. And he knows the results of our actions. Like God is all knowing and is timeless, like he's not watching us already in hell or heaven before he created us. He sees everything at the same time. How is that even possible that we have choices? What? I'm going to choose something else that God already saw as a future? I'm going to change God's plans? It doesn't make sense. And please do something for yourself and your life. Stay away from listening to Front to Wreck. In my point of view. So we're still waiting for someone, believer or not believer, that probably can explain to me how this contradiction is not a contradiction. Some people say, well, Javier, because you're not talking to a Bible scholar, go get the Bible scholar and explain it to me, you know. I'll be thankful. Probably I'm just confused and don't understand the mind of God. And probably an expert in the Bible can explain it to me. And I'll be listening quietly and listening to the explanation. But so far, no luck. So it seems to me that this could be probably a way to prove that the God of the Bible doesn't exist. Some people are talking about 2 plus 2 equals, Dragon Caraxi is writing 2 plus 2 equals 2 times 2, which is equals to God. Out of Babylon writes, that makes no sense, Phantom X. Post the correct verse. Do not troll. Phantom X, Hosea 12:7 verified, the zealot holdeth the true scales of deceit, weighing the heavy chains of dogma against the phantom rewards of another world, that he may oppress the free labor of the living. What? Oh, okay. So Phantom X is trolling. He's clarifying that he is. I fix verses that are posted as memes. If you don't want them fixed, don't post them. Country Folks Records. Nah, if a person is a dummy, then they are dummy. They are people who are dumb, no disrespect. I don't know what you're referring to, but we are talking about the problematic of some of these contradictions about God, and probably being able to conclude, because of one of these contradictions, of the many contradictions, that the God of the Bible might not exist. In a clear, concise, comprehensible way. Country Folks Records writes, I can have a decent conversation with people with some common sense, but damn. Blue Phoenix ID, yeah, you're confused about whether Stan Lee is a good or bad person. He introduced Captain America in his comics, but Thanos was also introduced. Okay. We're talking about probably proving that the God of the Bible doesn't exist, finding the way to do it. And we're talking about Captain America. Phantom X, I have met very few dumb people in my life. The Big Nick, I have met a lot. Phantom X, I have met people with a lot of blind spots, but that isn't the same thing. Ursay 98, do you atheists get feed wisdom and knowledge every coming and listening to this guy speak? What? Hersen 88. Who are you referring? Who is this guy you're referring to? Are you talking to myself, to me, for asking questions? How about clarifying the contradiction instead of asking atheists where they get their wisdom? Because I don't provide any wisdom. I'm providing more questions than anything else. The Big Nick, yeah, there's people with blind spots and humility, which is educable. But there's also people with blind spots with ignorance and confidence, which is pathological. Out of Babylon, the merchants have us deceived for profit. I don't think that there's such thing as someone else deceiving us. I only think that there's deceiveness by the power of ignorance, which apparently most believers are okay with. Not all of them. I know that there are believers that are starting to ask questions, having some doubts here and there, see some contradictions here and there. They're starting to notice that some of their beliefs are based on emotions. So we can have these conversations about what I see as a problem for humanity, about believing in God. I understand that, I don't know, apparently many Christians are happy that more and more believers are joining Christianity, but I think that probably that good feeling that you're getting from that way of thinking lacks information, because it seems to me that if more and more people continue to believe in God, we're probably going to be talking about being involved in some doctrine like Islam. And in your town, they're going to be ruled by Sharia law, which I don't think you're going to be happy, but by your belief in a different God, you're contributing to a problem, because the main problem is ignorance. Out of Babylon is spending trillions to smoke weed. What? Some of these conversations, I like it that people talk whatever they want, you know. So just a reminder, we're doing tonight at the most 3 hours, which probably, I don't know, I'll turn it into 2 hours soon, because I'm getting involved in other projects. Phantom X, cancer survival rates are rising. Seems like money well spent to me. And guys, that cancer conversation is very complicated, especially after the COVID vaccines. I'm hearing more doctors openly talking about getting many patients with affections from the COVID-19 jab. Country folks records, I will never fly a flag of any country because I don't believe in these governments. I don't trust them. country folks records, you know, to me, that's falling into victim mentality. I think our problems, we have to own them in order to be able to solve them. And one of the problems that we have right now is the normalization of problems. Country folks records, especially Israel. Ooh, the conversation about Israel. Phantom X, weed doesn't cure cancer. It alleviates some of the symptoms. Unless you're saying because people are smoking weed and not tobacco. Man, I remember I used to attend some customers, and some of my customers, they used to smoke weed, or at that time, and I would get into their place, man, into a curtain, a white curtain of smoke. I'm like, man, what is this? It smells like cow poop. Someone is like, Javier, what you're smelling right now is marijuana. I'm like, what? This is what it smells like cow poop? Oh man, can we come back later to do our job, because this thing stinks? And they will stop smoking, but after 1 hour of being there, I would get a headache. Oh man, and my clothes will stink like cow poop. I will leave home, go to my house, with a big headache and stinking like cow poop. And whoever is asking someone else that if they got the COVID vaccine, I think the real question should be, or the accurate question should be, if you got injected the experimental drug into your veins. Oh, Phantom X, so you didn't get the vaccine, huh? Or the experimental drug. I heard some doctors talking about doing fasting in order to get rid of the spike protein in your body, which seems to build up over time. Excuse me. Oh, going back to our subject, we're still thinking that we could probably have a way to prove that the God of the Bible is not real, just by presenting these contradictions, and apparently people not being able to explain these contradictions. God created possible choices, like some people told me, you know, Javier, even God knows the result of your choice, he still give you the possibility of other choices, which I think is inaccurate, because just by using the word possibility or possible to do what? I'm not able to change my choice, because my choice has to align with God's knowledge about the future, or God's creation about the future. So apparently we're dealing with the illusion that we have choices, which makes more sense. The illusion that we have choices probably because of the experience that we can get from feeling that we have choices in life. But in reality, if God is all-knowing, we cannot have choices, in my point of view. And some of these conversations, you got talking about vaccines, talking about voting, talking about governments, talking about cancer, talking about weed. Phantom X, all medical treatments have side effects. The question is, are the side effects worse than the thing that is being treated? For COVID, the vaccine is better. Wow, Phantom X, that statement, I'm not sure about that. What you're saying there is accurate. In my point of view, Phantom X, I think that the vaccine was rolled out when the when COVID-19 mutated from Delta to Omicron, which was more transmissible but less lethal. So besides that, there were not properly done tests on the vaccine to get the proper results. Apparently, in order to make a vaccine, a trustable vaccine, it takes many years, many tests, over 5 years of testing in order to come up to a conclusion. So I don't see how anybody was able to prove that the vaccine was reliable and it was effective. I think it was a business, because at the end, people were still getting sick, even with the vaccine, even with the boosters. And I have people that I know personally that they relate that after they got the second shot or third one, they start getting sick. They have really bad side effects. So I think that the medicine was worse probably by the time that Omicron was out. The vaccine was worst. Verse 98, Javier, you think everyone believes in God for emotional reasons? So you seem to believe Christians never suffer? Verse 98, my point of view is that there's no other reason that a believer believes in God other than because of emotional reasons. 100%. Phantom X Rise, the COVID vaccine was using a new technology for rapid vaccine creation. They have been working on that technology for a while. Yes, it's called the mRNA technology. And one of the guys that invented it, he was shut down. People were trying to silence him. And that's one of the reasons I'm like, wait a second, they're trying to silence one of the guys that invented the mRNA technology. Why? He's telling, hey, don't do that. It's too soon. You have to run more tests. Shut up. I'm like, yeah, I think this is a business. So they had the technology, they had a vaccine, they needed a sickness. That's what I heard. Rainbow Shangri-La, I lost my daddy in 2022 to COVID, and he had the vaccine and the booster. Oh, sorry to hear that, Rainbow. Cryptolly Clearwaters, I like the conspiracy theory of how easy the public will blindly accept the mark of the beast. Yeah, I think there's enough information out there in videos of Dr. Fauci talking about this that I'm surprised he's not even being investigated. In my point of view, he could end up in jail for causing the death of all the people around the world because of COVID-19. So I think, in my point of view, Dr. Fauci at least has to be investigated deeply, his finances and everything, to find out if he was involved in this COVID-19 pandemic. Yeah, I got COVID-19. The only thing I suspected I had COVID-19 is because I was feeling weak, and my lower back hurt way too much. Like, you know, I got beaten with a piece of wood. So when I got tested with the blood test, and it came negative, but a doctor said, no, go test it with the nose swab. And I went to get the nose swab, and then I got positive for COVID-19, but I never got the vaccine. So, you know, I had to stay away from my family for 15 days. And it was just feeling weak a little bit. I didn't have cough or sneezing or nothing. I don't think I even got fever, I think. It just was the weakness. And the eating, I couldn't eat because I couldn't feel taste. And like for 4 or 5 days, I couldn't smell anything. Coffee, lemons, nothing. After 5 days, my smell start to come back. And like 7 days later, I have my sense of smell back 100%. I mean, I think at least the guy has to be investigated cryptally. You know, I think that his dishonesty was taken to another level. The guy was extremely dishonest. There are videos where he's talking about that a pandemic could be worth it. The study of vaccines. When the virus came out, supposedly that came out from Wuhan, he never mentioned that there was a lab that studied coronavirus, like, I don't know, miles away. I don't know, like 5 miles away from the Wuhan wet market. Why in the world would he not mention that? So I think that the guy knew about this whole thing. Cryptoli, I had got it after September when we only had to stay home a week before going back. And for the entire pandemic, I was working, man. We had a special permission from the government to work. I just took it easy for, what was it, 18 days? And one of the weird things in my case, that after like a month, I was continuing to test myself, and I continued to come up as positive for COVID-19 until the doctor said, you know, don't continue testing yourself. That's going to happen for a lot of people. You're going to continue testing positive for COVID-19 for months. I think that if nobody gets charged, or they don't find someone for the fault, you know, for this big, humongous mess of the pandemic of COVID-19, if nobody, you know, is responsible for that, which I think, in my point of view, that one possible person that is responsible is Dr. Fauci. I think that this pandemics can come again. People can try it again because there's a lot of money in those vaccines. And incredible enough, there's people that are still getting vaccinated today. That is absolutely crazy. There's people that have like 8 vaccines. Absolutely crazy. So we just have 45 minutes to the end of this live stream. Oh, we're waiting for anybody, especially, I don't know, a believer that wants to explain this contradiction away about God being all-knowing. The big Nick out of Babylon, why don't you try to engage in conversation instead of just babbling your script? Mr. TX Dab, welcome to the live stream. Mr. TX Dab, if you know an expert in the Bible, a Bible scholar that can explain this contradiction about God being all-knowing, immutable, omnipresent, and us having free will, you know, that'll be nice. Because this could be then a way to prove that the God of the Bible is not real. Out of Babylon saying, I won't waste time in nonsense. The big Nick out of Babylon, but just rambling isn't convincing anyone of anything. You just sound like the crazy person on the street corner. I think the big Nick, you're getting the feeling that I get when someone starts preaching to me, God is love, God is real, and just going through this little script that they learn at church or at the Bible. It gets very old after a person tells you the same script. At least you're having just one person telling you that script. I get many people telling me the same script. For example, TXDAP, God is light, and in Him is no darkness at all. Light equals righteousness. Darkness equals sin. Talking about scripts. I think that out of Babylon has a particular way to see life. He's like a believer, but a believer in his own way. So apparently he has come with his own conclusions. It's just his point of view, which I don't agree much. These are some of the questions that I have been asking in case you have missed them. So for example, if God already knows the result of every choice you'll ever make, would you choose differently? If the answer is no, what happened to free will? You gonna change God's plans by making another choice. How is that possible? Let's ask the question in a different way. If God already knows every choice you'll ever make, is it actually possible for you to choose differently? If not, what happened to free will? If in the case that you are not convinced or want a different type of question, if God cannot be wrong about your future, would you ever do anything other than what he already knows you'll do? If not, is free will an illusion? Question: God infallibly knows your future, and you do otherwise than what God already knows? If not, in what sense is your choice free? Humongous contradiction. Diva Don't Play writes, Javier, do you all have any legal casinos in Panama? If so, which games are your favorite? Diva Don't Play, there are many casinos in Panama. I don't go to casinos. If I ever go, it's because a friend is doing a party in a casino. Here in Panama, they have like casinos and they have like the club right beside it. So you can go to the club and they can go to the casino. I don't like gambling. And if I ever do some gambling, I'll be playing blackjack. I think that the last time I went to the casino to play blackjack was like, I don't know, like 25 years ago or 20 years ago. Some casinos here sometimes present, do free concerts from artists. And that's how people go to the casinos and spend money. Oh, these are some of the questions that I see problematic. And let's just put the tip right there. Last question. The berry. How can God be immutable if he performs actions that appear to require change? I'll leave that question on the screen right now. Maybe you can get a scholar, a Bible expert to explain this without jumping into preaching. Mr. David Martinez, free will blames the believer and never blames God. Diva Don't Play, nice. I like blackjack. That's the only why I like Diva. I don't like the machines, the money machines. I don't like any of that. I think it's a scam. Rainbow Shangri-La, my mom was a huge fan of horse racing. Really. Mr. Goodra. Wendy Kirkland is asking me, Clearwaters, where do you live? Right now, I live in Panama, Central America. Thank you, Wendy Kirkland, for the Yules. PXDAB, what separates us from the world? What do you mean by that? We are in the world. Phantom X writes, but Clearwaters, they had a Bible scholar on that video earlier on one of the videos. Yes. Yes. What I'm saying is here on the live stream to get a Bible scholar to explain this contradiction about God having these properties and doing these things. Joyce Justin V, do you have an example of this? Justin, what are you referring about this? TX faith separates us. TX I respectfully disagree. I think what separates us about whatever is ignorance is lack of information, lack of understandings, especially lack of understanding about how we operate as human beings. In the Kirkland, cool. Sin. I remember it's been a while since Tony Montana, he used to call all the time. He really had a hard time me saying that I was not a sinner. He couldn't believe it. Hello, Phantom X and Gudra. Hey Gudra, I don't know if I have you. No, you're not in the trusted. Hold on.
Okay, yeah, I was coming on to tell you. I think Gudra.
I keep forgetting about that. Sorry, Gudra. I didn't have you as a trusted contact.
No problem, man. I just called to like break the silence. You're reading the messages all night. Nobody's talking anything. So I thought I could ask and speak a little.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I was sometimes some of these conversations on the chat, I don't like to read the messages because sometimes people get heated and they start offending each other. So I don't read those messages.
I mean, when you don't have any arguments to say, then you start offending other people. I mean, if you have something smart to say. If you don't have, just don't offend anybody. It's not going good anywhere.
Yes, I think. Go ahead.
No, sorry. You can say.
I think that's how you can tell when someone runs out of arguments because they're starting insulting. It seems to me that it's that way.
Yeah, when you lose, you can just start attacking other guy. I mean, I just wanted to say like a lot of this believing and everything in life to me have to do something with identity, like what you identify as, where you find your identity. The mind goes there, like mind start defending your identity. If I say I identify as a male, my mind says women are bad. If I say I identify as a Serbian, my mind says other nations are bad. If I say I'm a Christian, my mind says that those non-believers on the guys that believe in other religion, they are bad. Like to open your mind and to just think that there is a possibility that there is no God. It takes you out of your comfort zone. Like no one want to leave the comfort zone. I feel good here. God love me. God wait me with gift. God will send me in heaven. Like people don't want to leave the comfort zone. And about the prayer and something like that, there is no need to pray. God knows when and about what you're gonna pray. You're just wasting time. I mean, prayers don't work. Hospitals would be empty, right? If prayers work. To me, Christian God demand worship. I mean, it's narcissistic to demand worship of anyone. To me, Chulum doesn't demand worship at all. Like you do whatever you want to do. People say, prove me God doesn't exist. Like Diva says it a lot. It's not on us to prove that his claim is false. If you make a claim, you need to prove your claim. It's just like I say, prove me unicorn doesn't exist. It's impossible. It makes zero sense. And if you read the Bible as it is written, not making up things like saying read in context and giving different meaning, read it as it is. And I believe 99% of people will say this God is a joke. This God is jealous God, angry God, killing people, killing animals, killing his own son, flooding the entire world, easily offended. God scaring everyone, like if you don't kneel, you go to hell forever. What a loving God, man. I don't know.
You're finding a lot of problems, lots of problems with the God, the belief in the God.
I mean, we also movie Sparta, right? The 300. Like some people just don't kneel. That's the problem. Some people just don't kneel. To claim something like there is God and God is love, God is this, God is this, you need huge evidence for that. How can we know who created the universe? Or how can we know if universe is created at all? How can we know that there is a God, all-powerful, all-knowing, all-loving, all-knowing God? Why all-knowing God test us? Like I test you, what is 1 + 1? If I know you're gonna say 2, there is no need to test you, right?
I think Gudra, that I mean, we don't have to go very far or very in depth into what God does or don't do. I think that just by knowing that supposedly God is immutable, how is he able to create?
I mean, a lot of people are just saying like God is love, God is knowledge, God is light, God is this. God. How you know? How you know? It's okay to lie to yourself, but to spread to other people's, I think it's horrible. It's horrible. All I
think.
hear from I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
All I hear from believers are threats and preaching. That's all I hear. You will see when judgment day come. You love sin, that's why you don't accept Jesus. Jesus love you. Jesus love me even though he lived 2,000 years ago. He never met me. I mean, atheists don't have chance of entering heaven. That was Diva said. I mean, that's being hypocrite. Like we have a free will. What free will you have? If God, before he created you, he chose your destiny, what can you do to change your destiny? You just can act as he wanted you to act. You just play as he just play violin and you just sing what he wants. Like there is no free will at all. You go to shop and there is like ice cream, vanilla and chocolate, and you think you have a choice, but you don't have a choice. You have just the option to think you have a choice. There is no choice.
Right, like an apparent choice. Good, right? Are you Dragon Karatsi in the chat?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
yes.
because I saw your message. I see it right now that I'm muted. I apologize for that. Let me respond real quickly to some of these messages. Rainbow Shangri-La. Hipódromo Presidente Ramon is horse racing track in Panama. My mom used to watch it on TV. Oh, yes. Here in Panama, apparently it's really big horse racing. Yes. And TXTAP says that God doesn't change, but he changes things. How is that even possible, TXTAP, when he's immutable, all-knowing, omnipresent? And Justin V is asking me a question like a follow-up. Clearwaters, what actions are you referring to which point to God changing? Justin, just creating. How is he able to create? If in order to create, there's supposed to be something that is not created and created. Go ahead, Phantom X.
So I think, I mean, when people say God, when theists say God is timeless, what I think of is, are you familiar with the B theory of time or block universe?
No.
Okay. All right. So it comes from, well, I'm not sure if it came from there, but one of the things that like really points to it is Einstein's theory of general relativity. The fact that time runs at different places and now what is now here may not be now somewhere else, points to maybe block theory or B theory of time is true. And what it is that all of time actually exists as a single block. And what we see as change is actually not the universe changing, but just our perception of the universe as we move through always existing coordinates in 4D space-time. And what this says to me is, like, if God is timeless, he would be like a block universe. He would be like a coordinate, all the coordinates in space-time. And so although he may not be changing, what we would perceive it as changing because we only have a specific coordinate in space-time. So that's one resolution to how does God do things and not change. And that's because he's not actually doing things. He's always done them. We're just getting to the point where we can perceive that.
That would be like probably like a game, like a video game, that everything is created and you get the illusion that you have choices, but the game, all the different options are already created. That
well, yeah, I mean, block theory certainly has some implications as far as free will is concerned, because if all points exist in space-time simultaneously, and we're just aware of a single point, well, that also means next week is already existing in space-time, and whatever I'm doing next week, I'm already doing that. I just can't perceive it yet. So, like, yeah, it does definitely have some implications for free will.
So you think that there's a contradiction there with God having
liberty, and it depends on how you define free will. But the only one that makes sense for God to condemn people to punish people for would be libertarian free will, where they could have actually chosen to do otherwise. And yeah, it definitely has a contradiction with libertarian free will. There are other forms of free will, but then it's like, well, it's basically saying you're enacting free will if you do whatever you desire, if you're acting on your own desires. But if you can't choose your desires, and it's pretty obvious we can't, then what God is punishing us for being the way he created us. So I mean, that's kind of rigging the game, in my opinion.
Okay, Justin V is asking an interesting question. He says, Clearwaters, sorry, you said he performs actions that appear to require change on his part. I'm just trying to nail down one example in order to clarify.
I mean, I can give an example of
go ahead.
A change that would appear to be require a change, and that is, there was a time when God had not resurrected from the dead, and then a time later where he had. And that appears like a change. But if God is timeless, then he'd always, even when he created at creation, if God is timeless, at creation, he had already resurrected from the dead. We just hadn't gotten to that part in the timeline yet. That's kind of resolves that contradiction of unchangingness.
But to me, in Old Testament he says stone gay people, but later he says it's okay, don't stone them. I mean, he's changing the rules all the time.
Well,
I think that in the case of, for example, myself trying to answer to Justin V, for example, in the case of being safe or not being safe, going to hell or heaven, I think that God is already seeing and experiencing us being in hell or heaven already since before we were created. So I don't see where there's possible to have a choice when everything for God is just is. Every time I open my mouth to say something, I create a contradiction by trying to, say something about God. Even when I say that he created us, I mean, that will take an action to create something, because in order to create it, probably I was not created at one point. So God had to take an action to create me, and how an immutable God can change something or create something. everything seems to be a contradiction. And at the end, having choices like taking a choice of A and B, God already knows the results of our choices. Or are we really able to take a different choice? It seems to me that with God, everything is written already. Everything is known with God.
Right, I agree. I don't think it gives you free will. It just explains how God can appear to be changing and actually not be changing. Justin asks, when does he say it's okay to be gay? I don't think Gudra said God says it's okay to be gay. It's just okay to not stone them now.
But isn't he changing the rules? Like before, he says sacrifice is needed, but when Jesus come, he said, "Oh, there is no need for sacrifice." It looks like to me God is changing rules as time pass. So it looks like to me God is like a human, just bringing the laws needed at that time. Like it's not God that's out of space and time. He would have like clear rules for every single time that was before and after this. Like, but looks like to me he is just changing the rules like we changed the laws. Like what someone said in chat, weed wasn't legalized before, but now it's legalized. It seems like God is doing the same thing. He's changing the rules as time passes.
Sure. I mean, part of there's several ways that Christians will answer your question. And I'm not familiar with all of them, not very familiar with even one of them that I just know the name of. But a lot of people say, well, Christ was the final sacrifice. All the sacrifices up till then were kind of looking towards Christ, and once Christ did his sacrifice.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can anyone really logically believe that all-knowing, all-powerful God couldn't find better way than to kill his own son to show us his love? There was no other way. That was the best way possible. Like I would make a better story.
Sure. I think I don't disagree with you that it's not the greatest solution, and I don't think they were trying to come up with a story. What I really think was happening is Jesus was supposed to be the Messiah, and then he got crucified, and the people that were left were like, wait, but the Messiah can't be crucified, so we need to reinterpret what happened, because obviously Jesus was the Messiah. But that's so they retrofit they came up with a story to retrofit what happened into their story.
But even the new story doesn't make sense to me. Like
I agree. I'm not saying it makes sense.
Jesus lived, then he died, then he resurrected, and then I don't know anyone who can alive go to heaven or hell. It means he lived, he died, he resurrected, and he needed to die again to go to heaven or hell. He couldn't go in physical form. So he lived, died. I mean, it has zero sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it makes a lot of sense either.
I think that some believers are explaining God's actions when it comes to Jesus and the act of violence. But for example, Justin says that is the perfect way, so he disagrees with us. You think that an act of violence is the perfect way?
I mean, if we can find a better solution, God, which is all-knowing and all-powerful, he could have a billion, infinite times better solutions. And his way was, let's flush the entire world and drown everybody. Let's kill my own son. Let's sacrifice people. Go and kill children and their animals. Kill everybody. Like, it doesn't sound like God to me, but there are different believers. I can say they are all the same. Like Mr. Crypto is saying, the Bible is a human interpretation of what God wanted to say. But some people would say, no, God is the Bible is the word of God. I don't think it's the word of God. It's just some humans are trying to explain things that are unexplainable. They're just trying to fill the gaps. So a lot of theists would say, like, atheists can't explain how universe came to be, and when you ask him how it came to be, it was God. Why the universe was created? If you ask him, because God's glory. I mean, whatever you ask, he just say God. It looks like to me it's just God of gaps. What you don't know, you just say God.
I think that go ahead, Phantom. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just agreeing with him. Diva has been here for a minute. If you want to let him have a word.
Diva, you want to say something? We're finishing this live stream in 17 minutes.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just I've answered most of these questions from Gouda plenty of times. He just either doesn't understand the answer, doesn't like the answer, doesn't believe the answer. But I've answered all of these questions and comments he has. They're not very hard. They're very easy. These are easy questions for me. And Phantom, I told you I'm a dummy. I can't spell decadence.
I just let you know. I thought maybe I was just letting you know so that you could. But I was just trying to do it in private.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Gouda, I can answer every single question. I don't think,
man, that you're honest. Like you're identifying as a Christian, and your mind is just defending that belief. I identify as a male, and I defend that belief like women are bad. I identify this, and my mind defend. You identify as a believer, and you identify that the Bible is true, and you do anything that's needed. You say anything just to defend it. Like that doesn't sound like open mind to me. Like not honest.
If I know what the truth is, isn't the goal in reality to put my mind
but how can you listen in universe, the microspec galaxy, microspec solar system, microspec planet on planet, microspec human, and you are that human claiming to know the truth? Like you have no way to know the truth. That's my point.
How do you is that an absolute statement? I have no way to know the truth. Is that an absolute statement?
Yes, yeah. We humans cannot know who created the universe.
So if according to you, nobody can absolutely know the truth, why would I listen to what you're saying? You just contradicted yourself. You said nobody can have absolute truth, but yeah, I'm going to listen to what you're saying. Is that absolute true, what you said?
Did I make any claim till I started talking? I didn't make any claims. I just say we don't know, man. The honest answer is we don't know.
You said nobody can know. As a fact. So why would I listen to you if you're saying nobody can know? Why would I trust what you're saying?
Why would I trust what you say with zero evidence? You're just making bold claims, man.
I got plenty of evidence.
Like what? Like make us believer, man. Just go ahead.
I'm not going to make you believer. You have a free will. You can take the evidence and reject it.
We were talking like 15 minutes, like few streams before that. There is no free will, dude.
I disagree. I disagree that there's no free will. That makes no sense.
You just have illusion that you have free will. If God made you with your own destiny, you can't do anything to change your destiny because He already see you.
Here, He didn't make me with my own destiny. He created me free and knew what the outcome would be. He didn't create me for that.
Is there anything that you can change what He already knows? Can you any way so you can change what He already knows and sees?
No, because I'm making those choices. I'm making those choices freely. So that's the choices I make. I take a sip of water. I don't take a sip of water. I get up. I call out of work. I go to work. I make these decisions every day.
Theo, just one question. He knows you're gonna take a sip of water.
Yeah.
You take sip of water. Did you have any choice to do anything else?
I did, and I chose to take a sip. I'm not listening. Go to the other questions. This is a stupid one. You're never gonna get. You're just never gonna get. So it's fine.
Let me ask Phantom. Phantom, what do you think about that choice of drinking water or not drinking water?
This is like
I think
Sesame Street atheism here. It's crazy. Go ahead.
I think that what we're talking about here is an epistemic problem, because we don't know what the future is, so it feels like we have all these options ahead of us that any are actually possible. But metaphysically, I don't think that's actually true. I don't think there are actually metaphysical multiple paths that are actually open to us. But because we only have what we have epistemically, we only have what we can know, and so the transition from knowing what we can know, or not knowing what happened, to knowing what happened feels like making a choice, and I think that's very compelling to a lot of people. As well, I actually did have agency there.
So a serial killer is not choosing to be a serial killer. He had because God knew that he would do that. He had no choice but to be a serial killer.
In case of serial killer, God created the man destined to be serial killer, and in my view, he couldn't do anything to change it. God already made his destiny before he was created.
No, he didn't. See, again, you're missing the point. He didn't create him destined to be a serial killer. He created him to be a free individual, but God, because he's outside of time, knows what he'll freely choose to do. Whether you don't understand it,
you
I
go
don't
in
care.
ice cream shop. They have vanilla and chocolate, and you can pick. Do you want vanilla and chocolate? But you can't pick anything else than vanilla and chocolate. Do you understand that?
Sure.
It seems like you have choice, but you don't have the choice. You can just pick
vanilla
what
or
is
chocolate.
there.
Yeah, vanilla or chocolate. I take a pick. Well, what's the problem?
But you can't pick anything else than vanilla and chocolate. Do you understand that? Like,
so if I decide to roll up to your house and start punching you in the face, and I don't stop until you're knocked out or the cops come, God made me do that, or I choose to do that. Which one? God made me do that, or did He know I was going to do it?
I don't say because He knows the future, He forced you to do it. I say because He knows the future, you can do anything to have a different outcome.
But I don't. But I'm still choosing. I'm still choosing. Still choosing.
So I think again.
Just move. That's the other question, because it's not. I'm not going to waste any more minutes with it. Gouda. So you said, like, ask me what you want to know. Do you want to know how am I supposed to know?
No, hold on, Diva. Myself, I still don't understand the part about God being all-knowing and us having free will. Let Phantom, I think he was trying to explain it. Go ahead, Phantom.
Sure. From an atheist.
Well, I had something in mind, and then I let it go because Diva wanted to move on. If it goes back to me, I'll speak up.
I'm not going to change each other's mind, and I can't describe it or explain it better.
Diva, okay, just without interrupting, please. Like, we speak, you speak, we don't interrupt. My question is, why is God testing you if He already knows what you're gonna pick? Why is God testing you if He already sees you in heaven or hell? What's the point of testing you? Why would I ask you what is 1 + 1 if I know you're gonna say 2? Why would I give you the test and on test is 1 + 1? Why am I testing you?
Does your mom or parents tell you that they love you?
Man, I ask you a different question. What is the point of testing you? God already knows what will happen.
I'm trying to explain to you. When you're with a girlfriend or your mom, do they ever tell you they love you, like, out loud?
I don't see the point, Diva. I'm asking you a simple question. Why is God testing you if He already knows what will gonna happen?
First of all, we don't know what's going to happen. So
Diva, you're just mixing everything. It's not a question. I know we don't know, man. But God knows. And why is He testing you if He knows what you're gonna do? That's my question. Don't mix. We know, we don't know the frogs and the birds.
Because He created time. And we're in time, so that's why he didn't create us in living in eternity where we will be. He created us in time, and so things in time play out. Like we're at the present. We're at
God,
the.
God,
We're at.
one
We're
question,
at the.
just few questions. God
we're-
already
I'm
know.
answering you.
God already know you will go to heaven or hell. Yes or no?
Right. Yes.
Why is he then testing you if he already know what you're gonna do, man?
Because how can I get to do it or choose it if he doesn't let me?
I don't know, man.
How does that make sense?
Why are you praying when God already knows when and about what
Oh,
you're gonna pray?
yeah, I've told
Why
you
do
this
you
10
pray?
times. I've answered this 10 times. Prayer is communication with God. Do you talk to your mom? Do you want to know about her? Do you tell her you love her? Do you have a relationship with her? Why don't she knows you love her? Why talk to her? She knows it. So it's about communication. It's about building a relationship. It's about intimacy with God. It's not about feel my leg. Give me money, buy me a car. That's just your warped atheist view about prayer.
Diva,
Prayer
building relationship with real people is different thing. You're building relationship with invisible God. With invisible God.
Listen to my answers. Even if you listen, you don't digest my answers. And tomorrow you're gonna say, why do we pray? Why do we pray for?
Okay, hold on, guys.
You don't
So,
listen, bro. You don't listen.
so let me ask you, Diva, and also welcome Chris to Discord. Also, Phantom, if you're listening, if I have a coin on my desk and I have the option of pick it up or leave it where it is, my question is, according to the properties of God, of being all-knowing, being omniscient, immutable, I think God already knows the result of my choice of picking up that coin or not picking up that coin and put it on my hand. Is that correct?
This is partly helpful you out here dealing with these kind of things. This is crazy.
So does he already know?
Talking to 4-year-olds.
Yeah. So, hey, how's it going, guys? I've never gotten on here before and done like a Discord or anything, so this is kind of cool. Appreciate it.
Sure. Welcome. Yeah. So if you want to answer the question, Chris, if you want, I'm asking anybody on the Discord if I have that choice, of picking up the coin and put it on my hand. Before taking that action, does God already know the result of my two choices of picking up that coin or not picking up that coin?
Yeah, absolutely.
So can I choose something different that will change what God is already seeing?
No.
Here it comes.
Doesn't that imply that there is no free will?
So before I make the choice, it seems to me that I have a choice. But nothing.
From your perspective.
Yes, from my perspective, there's absolutely nothing I can do in reference to choices that is going to change what God already knows. That is the result of my choice.
Correct. Yeah, because he can see your choice. He can see your choice from the very beginning.
Before I was created.
Right. But that doesn't necessarily, so that doesn't take away your free choice, because you're still, based on your experiences, based on what you want, what you desire, you're still free to make that choice. Someone from the outside looking in is not, taking away your free will just because he knows what you're going to do.
So if God is seeing the result of my choice, he sees me as picking up that coin and put it on my hand. What happens if I decide to not pick it up?
I have a few things to say about that too, by the way.
Yeah, so if you decide not to, as far as the result of that, he would already have known that you weren't going to. So it doesn't change anything on his side. It changes the result of what you experience if you pick it up. But it doesn't change the result from his perspective on, whatever it is that comes next.
So do I have really a choice to choose from A or B?
Yeah, 100% you have a choice, because again, you're going off of what your desire is at that point, and your previous experience. So it's just like if you have a relationship with someone and you're basically trying to decide if you want to continue in the relationship or in the relationship or whatever, you're still making a choice based on previous experience with that person. Just because your brother or your sister or your mom knows that it's either going to work or not going to work, just because they happen to be right in that moment, doesn't mean it's changed your decision, if that kind of makes sense.
But don't you think that that will be not a very good comparison? We're talking about the all-knowing, most powerful being in the universe, and you're comparing it to a relationship with a woman?
Well, it's more of like because the thing is like with God, right? He's so much greater and bigger than we can ever comprehend. So we have to make the ideas smaller to fit our perspective. Not that we can fit him down into like, we can't even comprehend, an all-knowing, all-powerful God. We can't comprehend that, but we have to try to make sense of it in a human perspective. So that's why there's always that kind of comparison is you have to make it real somehow for, us.
So let me see if I understand your previous explanation about the choices. So if God already knows, okay, let's say that he knows already that my choice is A, to put the coin in my hand, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Don't I have to align with what he already knows?
You're not, so you're aligning with what he knows, but it's not because of his choice, it's because of your choice.
What were the options?
To pick up the coin or to leave the coin, right?
So if I decided to not pick up the coin when he already knows, saw it before he created me, that I'm picking up that coin, how is it even possible for me to not pick up the coin? There's no reality ever, anywhere, where I am not picking that coin. There are no possibilities anywhere in the universe. That would imply,
right,
I'm sorry,
sure.
just to finish the thought, that would imply that I'm doing something that God doesn't know, or I'm changing God's plans, or I'm changing what God already saw before he created me. I'm going to change it. I'm going to create something different for him. And I'm going to call him, you see, you were mistaken. I chose something else.
Yeah, you're 100% right. As far as like, there is whatever God sees will happen. You don't have another choice other than the choice that he knows of, because he sees that you're going to make that choice. But ultimately, he is not externally pointing you in that direction. Just because he knows it, doesn't mean he's causing you to do it. He's not controlling your hand and saying leave it or pick it up. You are making the conscious choice. Just because he knows it doesn't change that.
So basically what you're saying is that before he created me, he's not forcing me to make the choice that in his reality, let's say, he's seeing me doing at that moment where I'm not created yet. He's not going to force me to take that choice, but I'm not created yet.
Correct.
So how can he not force me to do something when I'm not created yet? What does that mean?
It means that he created you with a free will.
No. I said before he created me. Before my creation, he already knows the result of my choice because he knows everything. He knows past, present, and future. He's not bound by time. He says everything at the same time.
Right.
So before I'm created, he's not forcing me to do what, because I don't exist yet in his whatever creation or mine, or I still see a contradiction because he's not forcing me. It seems to me that God would have to see things in sequence in order for him not to force me At what moment he's not forcing me? At the moment of the choice, at the moment before I'm created, at the moment billions and trillions of years before he's thinking about creating me.
Mm-hmm.
So in my
Yeah, I
view,
understand.
He's already seeing me in hell or heaven.
Of course. Yeah, he does.
If God sees us already in heaven or hell, why is he testing us?
In what way is he testing you?
Why is God testing us to see will we
I think he's
fail
referring to the
sin?
judgment.
Yeah, why is God testing us if he already knows what we're gonna do?
I don't think that what he's
I
gonna do, but what's gonna happen. I think that's what you mean,
what
Gudra.
is gonna happen? Yeah, why would he test us about anything if he already knows the future?
So you're asking why. So basically, if you get down to like the base of the question is like why were we created? Basically, right? Because that's kind of what the test is, right? Is because ultimately,
No. God is giving us choices to pick, right? God is testing us our entire life to see in the end will we go to heaven or hell. And my point is, why is he testing us if he already see me in heaven or hell? There is no need to test me.
I think Gudra, if you allow me, I think I'm gonna come up with an example. I don't know if it's a good one. I don't know if Phantom is listening too. You know, I think it could be expressed in a way that I create a game that you're gonna play, okay? Yeah, a computer game that you're gonna play, and you have to reach the princess, okay? And I'm gonna judge you based on your capability to reach the princess. But in the game, there's no princess. I already know the result of you playing the game before you start playing the game. And I'm gonna judge you based if you were able to reach the princess or not. But you don't know that. You think and you have the illusion that there's gonna be a princess somewhere in the game. I already know that. And you get into the game, you start playing it without knowing that there's no princess in the game. So I know the result. No princess in the game. It was either princess or no princess. There's no princess in the game. I know that. I'm the creator of the game. It seems to me that when you know the rules and you start playing the game at all times, you think that you have choices because you are not the creator. And you might think, okay, but I still have the choices. Choices to do what? There's no princess in the game. I already know that.
To me, there is no meaning for this life on earth. Like, why is God allowing Satan to tempt us to sin if he already knows will we sin or will we not? Like, why would I test you what is 1 + 1 if I already know you're gonna say 2? There is no point in testing at all.
I don't know. I think, Chris, if you see probably a flaw in our thinking, I think we're trying to do an honest job to trying to understand what for us seems to be a contradiction or something that cannot be explained. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree that trying to trying to completely understand it and have an answer for everything. I'm definitely not the one that has an answer for everything. But I will say that without God, it's hard to have like an ultimate meaning of life, just because I know you kind of touched on that a little bit there. Because you're saying, there's no meaning to life in this life, and you're right. Without an afterlife, there's not really, because, say we died today and then 2,000 years ago or 2,000 years later, unless you're Jesus, no one's going to remember your name, so.
We remember people that aren't Jesus from 2,000 years ago.
I mean, but the majority of people are forgotten after 2,000 years. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Clearwaters.
But
Phantom wouldn't ask you, but tell him about the compatibilist and the incompatibilists on this debate of the choices that you have that's in the Christian community of debaters. Remember how we looked those two words up? Where some believe you have the choice to choose, and I believe that God limits his power on what you're going to choose.
No, that's not what compatibilism is.
We looked it up.
It was phantom.
I don't know what you looked up, but whatever you guys looked up, it was
Clear
either
Waters,
wrong.
you didn't look that up yesterday?
No, that was a conversation that we had with ChatGPT, but the compatibilism and incompatible, whatever, I cannot pronounce it. It was better explained by Phantom.
What I don't know where you got whatever you were reading, but either it was wrong or you didn't understand what you're reading, because compatibilism isn't what you're describing. Compatibilism is the idea that we call it free will if it is the proximal reason for you doing it is internal rather than external. That means the sufficient reason, the reason you're doing it in this moment, is coming from you and not coming from something like a gun pointed to your head. But that doesn't save libertarian free will. And what I'm trying to point out is to have eternal conscious torment is unjust unless libertarian free will is true. And there's no way it's true if God is all knowing.
That we don't have a free will choice.
Libertarian free will is impossible with a God that knows what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
If
Like,
you have
it's already, he already knows that we're either going to be in heaven or we're going to be in hell. We just got to live our life and make it there, and that's just it. It doesn't matter what ice cream you choose out of what flavors. It doesn't matter what coin you pick up or don't. That's the whole point. I ain't worried about, like, everybody's getting confused and they keep saying, I see it all before, I see it all after, these are the results. But when it comes to the actual choice presented in front of you to either sin or not sin, no matter what, we have no free choice. We're just, it's already, so there's like no point even living.
But to me, what
That's
Chris
where this,
says, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What
No,
Chris,
go ahead. I was just saying.
What Chris said, like, if there is no God, there is no meaning to life. Whichever book you take, it says there was guy, was, be. So the point, the point of life is to be. There is no bigger other meaning. You can force life to have a meaning, but essentially life is all about being, existing. There is life, so their life exists. And if life is so short, to me, life is precious. And people would take care to live better here on earth and not imagining some heaven after death and something like that. Because if you take parts of brain, your consciousness start losing and you lose your consciousness. So it tells me if your brain rot when you die, you lose completely your consciousness. There is zero evidence for life after that. And I wouldn't believe just anything. I rather believe nothing than anything.
I think that I don't know if the game analogy that I presented probably is a good one to present this dilemma with God being all-knowing, all-knowing, omnipresent, omniscient, immutable, and us having free will. It seems to me that he being involved with creation, with everything, and he being God with everything, there's no possible way for me to choose something different from what God already knows is what is. I'm not even gonna call it the past, the present, and the future. God knows what is. For him, there's no past, present, and future. For him, everything is. So he sees everything at the same time. Which, for me, opens up another contradiction. You know, creation, how is he able to create? He has to do something, he has to change himself. But that doesn't make sense because he's immutable. He doesn't change. But he will have to change something about himself for order for him to be a before and after for creation. because in order to create something, there's going to be a time where something is not created. And you created it, there's an after, and a before and an after. So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just as far as because he chooses to create, doesn't mean that he's changing who he is, though, because he's a creator, right? So he's creating because that's what he is. He creates.
See, if he's immutable, how is it even possible for him to have choices? Where are these choices coming from? Because you say he chooses to create. Where is this choice coming from? If he's everything.
From his will. So he basically, we're created in his image, right? And we may have a difference of opinion on free will for humans. That's for, but for him, you know for a fact that he has free will because ultimately he chose to create. If you believe, obviously, I don't mean to say that you believe that, but I'm just saying in general. But he's not changing who he is because he's creating. He's the creator, and he himself, in the Trinity, like him and his Son and the Holy Spirit, decide that they want to create, and that's what he did.
If I look the word immutable, it says that it's an adjective meaning unchanging or unable to change. The term describes things that are fixed, permanent, or not susceptible to variation in form, nature, or quality.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if he's not able to do any of these things because there's nothing else besides him, how is he able to have choices, make things, create things, having relationship with humans? How, if he's not able to change nature, quality, form, and besides that, he's all-knowing, he knows everything at the same time, timeless. Everything points out to something that is just is, and it's not interchanging energy with something else. Go ahead.
So if I'm because I have kids, so if I'm a dad, just because I choose to, if I chose to travel to a different country and leave my kids behind, I would never do that, obviously. But if I did, does that change the fact that I'm still a parent to a child? That doesn't change that about me, right? So just because God chooses to create, that doesn't change who he is, because he's doing what he is. He's a creator and he's creating.
In the case of that example that you just gave, you as a parent, you move to somewhere else. You move away from your kid because of travel or something. That's the scenario you presented. So you are not immutable.
To me, from non-existence to existence, it's change, right? We didn't exist, and then he created us. Something changed, right?
We are immutable. I mean, he is immutable. We are not. We were created. He wasn't. So he didn't change. We did.
So in the case of the example that you gave, that you as a parent, you travel and you move away from your kid, you're changing places, you're changing direction, you're changing in time. So that's why I think it's not a very good comparison, because you're talking about something that is mutable with something that is immutable. And I think there's a little bit of difference between one and the other.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 100% right. Like I said, we have to try to make sense of something that is someone, I should say, that is infinite with people that are finite. So when I say that, yes, I moved away, but the point is I'm still a parent, right? So yes, I changed physical locations, but the parent aspect of me is the same. That has not changed. That was the aspect I was trying to focus more on, not my location.
I think in the case of God, he being immutable, he's just is.
Right.
So being is how he goes from is to being a creator.
I guess I'm sorry. I guess I'm not understanding. He is. Jesus even says, he says, before Abraham was, I am. So he always has been, and life is in him. So because he chooses to create, that doesn't change him, because he's doing exactly what you would expect a creator to do, and that is to create.
To me, we were not existing from forever. Like we were not existing, and then God decided to create us. So he made a change. He decided, let's create something. He just made the change right there.
Yes, and besides that, apart from what Gudra is saying, for me, it's, for example, like a very simple example. Let's take a rock. Okay, a rock is a rock. Right?
Yes. Yep.
So that is something that it just is. But then the rock changes to something else and start doing things. So
no.
God is everything and nothingness, everything at the same time. He has to cut something out. He has to stop something. He has to limit something in order to turn from a rock into a crab.
Something has to change, right?
Something has to change. Something has to give. Something has to give some space to have options. How a God that is everything suddenly has options? I would think that a God that is everything and that just is and is immutable, there are no options. There are no choices. There's no space for creating anything. And on top of that, knowing everything, now he creates some toy called human beings that now is going to be able to make choices when he already knows everything. This game of life and creation, he knows all, he knows everything. And there's nothing we can do to change. Now we're going to change God. We're going to change what is. So everything to me, even from the point of starting the creation, things don't make sense. And when people say, like, okay, Javier, you're trying to understand the mind of God, that is pretty much impossible with your human mind. Then I will have to say that everything that you know in the Bible about God, probably everything is wrong because you're trying to understand the mind of God with words and books, and that's not possible. Probably everything that you know about God's being love, everything is incorrect because you're trying to understand God's love with your human mind, which is incorrect. So, I could do the same thing with believers.
Yeah, you absolutely could. My response to that would be that the only way that we could know God would be if he showed himself to us and explained who he was, right? That would be like literally the only way. We could never perceive any other way to understand God unless he stepped in and introduced himself.
My question is there, like, what if some other beings introduce himself as God? Like, how can we know 100% that it was God? Like, could it be anything else that just gonna mess with us?
Well, what he could do is he could come to Earth, introduce himself, tell everyone who he is, tell everyone what was going to happen, heal people, raise people from the dead. Then he could take our sins on himself, be crucified, lay in a grave for 3 days, and then come back to life to prove he was God. That would be one way you could do it.
To me, aliens could do the same. Like if we found the planet.
Gudra. To answer your question, Gudra, really, if a being came 10, 20 feet tall, you can ask them if they serve Yahweh. Because just the sound of Yahweh will show the expression that that being will have about the word Yahweh, because he is the one true God, okay? He's the one over all.
Could they fake the answer? Like if it was anything else except God, like let's say some being that we don't understand, like aliens just messing up with people. How could I say it's a real God or if it's not?
Well, I'm going to tell you now, when you speak Yahweh, who do you serve Yahweh? Because it's not going to be God. It's going to be the angel Gabriel. It might be Jesus Christ. I wouldn't say God's going to be in front of you. It's going to be a fallen, or it's going to be an angel. And just the name of Yahweh, if it is another being like demonic or a fallen angel, they will be angry, and you'll know right then. I'm going to tell you that right now. And don't be surprised if another angels will show up due to your conflict with that being. I'm just laying it out, because it's even known in the UFO realms that if you speak the name Yahweh, that if those beings are around, they'll immediately leave. That is being said on most hypnosis cases in the UFO realm.
I think
I'm
that
just saying that.
Yeah, I don't think anytime soon God is gonna come down from the heavens and explain things to us. So I think it's gonna probably for now depend on us
Answer
human
to the
beings.
question.
Yeah, on us human beings to ask questions and have conversations about this topic of believing that a God behaves in a certain way when in reality we don't understand it. I think that is not of benefit for humanity to come to conclusions with extremely lack of knowledge. Coming to the conclusion that God is, Yahweh, or God is the ruler or the creator of the universe. I think we're making a mistake by pretending that we understand these things when we don't. And as a believer, when we don't understand things, we fix it by lowering the standards of evidence and allowing the God in order for us to gain some emotional benefits. And that's how we end up thinking that the God is real, or feeling that the God is real, the God feels real, but without answering the most difficult questions like the ones we're presenting right now about these contradictions that don't make sense. It seems to me that God is something that is so absolutely spectacular, like, I don't know, billions and trillions of times bigger than we are. We don't understand anything about God. Seems to me.
Hey, Waters, did you watch that video that I sent you?
I watched like 20 minutes of it. I really like it, so I'm gonna continue watching it.
You didn't even get to where Jesus Christ came.
No, I'm gonna continue watching it. It's open right now, so I'll continue watch it. Probably by Monday, I'm done watching it. Sometimes I don't have enough time to sit down for 45 minutes, but it's a good video. I like it. Hey guys, so we're gonna shut.
If you ever want to chat, let me know.
We're gonna shut down this in 5 minutes. You wanna say some closing statements, Gudra and Chris, and before we shut down?
Yeah, I actually so I just got the call here. I gotta check dinner here, so I just want to say thanks for having me on, and yeah, anytime, guys. This was really cool, so thank you.
Chris, thank you so much for participating, and your questions, really, really, really good questions, and thank you for your feedback also. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I hope you guys all have a good night, okay?
You too.
Yeah, come again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, I saw Tony Montana connecting there for a moment. I haven't seen him in a while.
Oh, was that a person? Okay, I was worried it was
Yeah, he
another...
connected like for 2 minutes and then he hung up.
Yeah, I mean, if you recognize the name, that's fine. I was worried that it was another Raider guy.
No, I recognize Tony. Tony was one of my first calls of all time, so I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't seen him in 3 weeks. Anyways, you want to say something before we shut it down?
Just one thing for you, Clearwaters. You remember yesterday how we were talking how some believers are debating with other believers?
Yep.
How there is either the free choice or no free choice, like what we were talking about. They're still debating on that, right?
Yeah, there's Calvinists. They believe that God
creates. So they call them Calvinists.
Yeah, well, I think there's other Christian philosophies, but Calvinism is a major one. But they believe that God created people in order to send them to hell.
Well, that's not how I'm looking at things. I mean, I want to see any believer bring me the scriptures that says that we're already preordained to be in hell. First of all, I don't see that. Number two, number two on this matter, and throughout the Bible, there's many times where it speaks that God limits his power in certain situations. One of them is when Jesus walked the earth. So, I mean.
All right, so can I
So
respond
someone could prove to me about some things, I'll look it up, but I'm still going to take it with a grain of salt and be doing my research. Yeah.
Are you ever going to shut up so I can respond? You're talking to the wrong people. We can't defend Calvinism. We're not Calvinists. If you want to have a good, robust argument for Calvinism, you need to go find Calvinists. But they definitely have scriptures that back up their side of it, because the Bible is not univocal. It speaks from multiple voices, because everybody who authored their books in the Bible had their own opinions about things and their own perspectives. But there's certainly verses that do support Calvinism.
All right. Well, I have to look more into that. That's fine.
Well, I mean,
because I look at it. Go ahead.
If you're interested, I mean, I can. Let me see. I'm trying to think who I know that is a Calvinist.
Well, I mean, I can look it up. I can do my research, but my mind's bigger than that, because I look at Samaritans and Enoch and Ethiopian Bibles. I look at it all. I'm not restricted,
Sure.
Okay.
Phantom and Gudra have a question for you before we shut down. Were you convinced by? I think Chris honestly tried to explain this contradiction about God. Were you satisfied with his explanation?
No, not really.
I mean, he's an honest guy. It's not like Diva, it's because I say so. He tried to explain, and he was not like it's because Bible says so or something like that. And what I just wanted to add, like when I called after a few minutes, we had like a full chat. We should force some calls early in the stream so people will join. Like someone just have to break the ice.
Can you repeat that one more time, Gudra? I didn't take what you said.
After I called on Discord, very fast after that, people started joining the call.
Yeah.
So we should force some calls early on Discord so people can join, and someone just need to break the ice.
Hey, Gudra, I was trying to get Phantom to ask a question and he wouldn't do it, so that's the only reason why I jumped on.
I came on because you were posting that you were muted. I knew I'd helped Javier set up some security stuff to keep people from porn bombing his channel.
Yes.
And I figured he wasn't thinking it, had forgotten about that.
Yes.
And so I came on to remind him, hey, he needed to let Gudra talk.
I was gonna find out when I got to the point when I got to his message, but I never read his message, so I didn't remember to unmute him. So thank you so much, Phantom X, for reminding me. I have to remember, man. I have to remember.
Yeah. I mean, when somebody joined the call, and if somebody says some claim, people would join to say that's not right, that's right, like the conversation would start.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I'm out of here. I wish you, thank you so much, Gudra, Phantom, and Crypto, and Chris for joining the call, and also Diva. Thank you so much for calling in, and thank you everybody for participating, asking questions,
Hey.
Cersei98, and everybody else on the chat. Yes, Crypto?
Let your live stream know, hey, y'all can join in anytime.
Join in what, the call?
Yeah, let them know they're welcome to jump over to chat if they want to, you know, jump on the platform. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. I try to remember people to call at the Discord link at the bottom of the screen or using the link on the chat. So I know that some people get nervous, but I try to respect people and treat them well and try not to get in a debate or screaming match, so they can call and they can present their views and their you know, their opinions or their beliefs or their arguments, and have a conversation. But anyways, I'm out of here. Wishing you having a great night, and I'll be seeing you again tomorrow night with another live stream. Thank you.